All right, here we go.
Camera 1, camera 2. Camera 1.
Here we are. My
Dude.
man Steven in the house here.
Thank you for
Lost Dutchmen
having
Cannabis.
me. I wanted to start this out with the thank you on behalf of the cannabis community. Just the hospitality provided here, I think actually does a lot for the industry.
Wow.
Because it changes the dynamic a little bit, right? I was telling you this a little bit earlier, but like the difference in restaurants where 1 star to 2 stars is like the Michelin rating, like that's where like fine dining turns into hospitality. How well can they take care of you? What are the options that we have to provide you, right? Because that's where that change starts coming in, and I think that's true for anybody who does anything like in a craft or like truly cares about trying to be really good at something, where it's just like, yo, you could get a piece of china glass or you can hit this like excellent triple. I mean, I was gonna go mothership just straight off the bat.
Damn, the best right there.
Okay.
Nice.
It's the old school heady in me, just because like I remember that rush of like being like, look at the thing.
No, mothership. You know what was wild? Yeah, no, but thank you. I appreciate that. You
You deserve it.
It's been a journey here with this lounge. As anything, it took a lot of work, and the reward has been the community support more than anything. Like we're still trying to figure it out on how to make it, like lucrative, and just to be honest, completely honest, just like right now it's like it's paying for itself because the community has come through and shown so much love. And
well, I think this is going to be an interesting little transition here. So all right, you can go to a Bevmo these days, right, an alcohol distributor, or you can go to your local bar and those guys can sell you beer,
right.
And with the way that the industry is now changing in the Biden administration with this whole rescheduling, we still have steps to go before it's like, hey, let me get a pack of Dutchmen, let me get a pack of whatever, like just from your local gas station or smoke shop. We have steps to go, but we just officially started
the blunt has been lit.
Rossing. I'm excited. Ooh, which one is this? It was the first one. The Doctor Who.
Okay, yeah, because you got us, look at this, brought over some baggies worth of 10,000.
Flavors.
Some flavors. And the first one you rolled up was a Doctor Who. Let me,
a real classic. It's a fruity gas, just straight up. But I like it because it kind of gives you that little guava up front, and like as a real specific terp profile, that kind of guava-y, like almost honey-like sweetness.
Nice, I can feel it because like I've noticed that the throat coat, as our guy AZ Dank likes to use that term, but where you feel like that aftertaste, you know what I mean? You can definitely. That's what I feel.
Dude. We just smoked something the other day, right? It was one of these infused pre-rolls. It had live resin, it had diamonds on it, and just you could feel it instantly on your mouth. Just
wow. Fuck yeah, dude. So this is cannabis grown right here in Arizona. We're
Proudly
talking to Steven here, who owns his own cannabis company out here in Arizona called Lost Dutchmen Cannabis Company. And, we've sat down before recently, got the chance to talk it up a little bit. And I think this is going to be a cool interview. We're going to touch base on a lot of things. How did he get introduced to cannabis? Once he did, what was that journey like that about? Like, this man's got some Humboldt stories. I don't know how deep we'll get into that. Yeah. But, and then the journey of opening his own cannabis company here in the state of Arizona. So sit back, roll something up. We're going to be smoking lots of different flavors and kicking it. So thank you for joining. Hit the subscribe button and hit a comment below if you got any questions throughout this interview,
I'd be happy to hear it.
Yeah, and like questions. If I miss a question or if I bring up something that you want you to dig deeper into, drop a comment.
Elaborate.
Exactly. Drop a comment in the chat and we'll check it out later. But I wanted to get this out. And we got a little bit of a Kush cam. Now, this isn't the normal setup I have, but we're trying to do
Kush cam?
Yeah, we got a little Kush cam right here. in the middle. Let's see if we can get a nice little close up.
Oh, there we go. Hold on. Wait for the focus. The focus. She gonna do it?
No, maybe I should go.
Camera 1, camera 2.
Yep. We're gonna work on the setup in here. You know, we're gonna work on the setup. But go ahead and again, classic
that's
strain.
the
You
story
said.
of all of our lives, right?
Yeah.
We're always working to that next best point. We're trying. We're improving, and that I think defines like good people when it comes to like, hey, you're not just satisfied with the same old. You want to try to take your photography to the next level.
Facts.
Which, I mean, as part of the weed culture. What's up, homie?
Oh, yeah.
Good. Well, hit this real quick.
Yeah, hit that blunt. Hit that blunt. That's some Doctor Who right there. Nice. Live at the lounge. You never know who could pop in here and
this is the
drop
homie
in.
from back of the day.
No shit.
We were skateboard
yeah.
coaches together.
We got a mic too. If we gotta hand him this mic right here, that's
shit.
mic'd up. Yeah.
You wanna
introduce
drop
yourself?
something?
Yeah.
All right. I think we're live on that.
Yeah, you're live.
Okay.
Hey everyone,
What's up,
happy
buddy?
cannabis.
So nice. Came in to support, smoke some Lost Dutchmen.
Yeah, I'm so proud of this guy. Literally, we were 15, 16 growing up in an indoor skate park teaching skateboard lessons.
What?
And just talking about cannabis and how it's becoming medical and the future of it. And I used to call him my ombre because there's also all these spiritual aspects we were dealing with too.
Okay. Oh yeah, we were exploring it all back then.
That's
Yeah.
right.
And it's funny how cannabis shaped both of our lives. I mean, if you peep the shirt there,
CBD for life, right there.
Not
on
planned. Not planned.
And he said, "That's just rapping for life."
Just repping. But yeah, it was cool. From skateboarding, Steven went into cannabis and all the operations of that. And then I also went into cannabis, but more on the front of house.
Okay.
So he was doing all the back of house. I was doing most of the front of house, hospitality.
Nice.
And still with CBD for life. And this man's creating his own empire of
Yeah,
cannabis
right.
now.
Yeah,
It's
whatever
building it.
so proud.
Nice. Well, it's cool. I appreciate you popping in and showing
Yeah.
support like that.
Yeah, I'm going to pop squat over here and
Yeah, cool.
enjoy the rest of the interview.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thanks, homie.
Nice. That's cool, man. Having people come through that,
The longtime homie.
So the roots are here in Arizona, or what?
Absolutely. So, Arizona, born and raised, was always in cannabis adjacent sort of like culture. So like skateboarding, hip hop,
They mentioned
graffiti, all that kind of stuff.
Right.
Because like weed goes hand in hand with all of that.
Yeah.
And so it was always like so close, and I would get familiar with it and learn a little bit about it. And I was a late bloomer,
Okay. I was gonna ask when did you learn about not maybe learn about, but when did you
So I remember I was like 14 the first time I saw weed,
Okay.
but I was rolling with some kids, and I was like, academically, I think I have some higher ambition. So
Okay.
like, I'm not gonna make these same choices that you guys are yet, and so I had to study it for a little bit and like understand really what was going on. Because when you're that young, like
You just know it as being like not
oh
good,
dude,
bad.
the
It's gonna
taboo was
yeah.
there, and then like
dare and all that.
obviously there was way less resources back then for you to like ultimately start learning about like the actual
Facts.
like science behind it.
Mhm.
And so saw it then, took a vacation early, went to the East Coast, and I don't remember, but it was actually Kind Bud. Kind Bud was technically the first thing
Okay.
I smoked.
Okay. First thing you smoked. and
Right,
this
it
is-
was a blunt. I'm just gonna go ahead and say it, but I was riding in the back of a VW Golf that had a system in it.
Okay.
They were blasting like these like techno rap remixes.
Okay. Is this like at night? Is it like a party or some shit? or-
No, it was like just towards the end of the day.
Okay.
We had time to kill, and I was
Okay.
like, I think I'm finally ready. But I was still nervous and like did not totally like go for the big inhale, and so like
Kind of just like
yeah.
sampled it a little bit. It was a blunt, you said?
Mhm.
Look at
So
this. Bringing it back for him right now.
The funny part with that one was like I got a little nervous because I'm on the East Coast. I'm not anywhere close to home, and I like see the end of this blunt, and I'm like, yeah, that's probably done. And I like cashed the thing, and like
Oh, shit.
was not my weed.
Yeah, exactly. Whoa, 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 whoa.
Dude, straight up,
Yeah.
he was like, bro, there was still so much
Yo,
of that.
come on, man.
And
Damn.
like over there, you know, it's even harder to get. So it was one of those like a little bit of a shock, and I felt all like apologetic, and it was just.
Did it fuck your first eye up or what?
Say again?
Did it fuck up your first,
Nah,
experience? Were you stoned? Like, what was it like?
So
'cause, I mean, you introduced with a blunt, you're getting that little bit of a. Did you smoke cigarettes at the time, or?
No.
So
I mean,
yeah.
I may have tried like a drag off of one, but like I didn't really, and it did not fuck up the high. Although I will say, the next time I smoked weed, I talked to a buddy and I was like, "Yo, like that was pretty cool. Like I want to try that again."
Huh.
And he comes over and crushes out like 3/4 of a Marlboro Red, and it was gooey. I remember.
Okay.
And next thing you know, like we're like smoking through it, hasn't totally hit me yet, and I get hit with the nicotine, and like stop motion occurred. I was like, oh, head spinning.
Yeah, head spin. Wow, I mean, it's weird. No, I guess I can't say it's weird. I'm smoking a blunt, but I've never been one to want to mix, tobacco in it like that. But I know it's something that happens.
You and I
out
talked
there.
about that before. So like, Humble, dude, we smoke spliffs.
That's wild. Humble.
It's kind of a cultural thing. I mean, like in Europe, that's super common too. I think it's a couple things. One, you're trying to make your weed last longer, and then two, the slight crossfade aspect, right? So you want to have that little bit of that,
like I'm doing right now with the blunt. So, but were they anti-blunt wrap? Is that why? Like, would you say that the blunt, like I'm rolling right now, would be like as much percentage as like back in the day adding it to your spliff, or?
That's actually a hard thing to equate. Because they do hit a little bit different, and then like you can gauge it, right? So like some people roll their spliffs a little on the darker side, the dirtier side.
Yeah, exactly, right? I heard about this. No, because like the percentage matter.
So it depends on the individual, right? So like I know plenty of people that love nicotine. I adore it, and it's one of those things that's like, okay, you tailor it to your mood, the time of day.
That makes sense.
And
was it ever like a way of a deterrent where it's like, I don't really want to share my spliff today, I'm gonna go 80% tobacco?
I'm certain there were times, just because like I remember people like you would hit somebody's and just like it hit you in the throat a little bit where you're like, oh, that was not weed, thanks for the heads up. But I mean, for the longest time I was a purist.
Yeah, give it to me, I don't give a damn.
Straight up. I mean, my reality though, like for a long time, was I got into weed from a health conscious mindset.
Okay.
Right. So like I was at that age where like friends were drinking, and I had seen like a certain amount of like just alcohol consumption, and I was just like, I get it. It's whatever, and ultimately like. I think it was a couple of different things. I was raised by a nutritionist. Like she had, an understanding of what builds like a good human body and like how you can feel and function at your best. And so that's where I was kind of coming from with it. Like, all right, I'm going to make the healthy choice and smoke weed.
Yeah.
And that lasted for a long time where it was weed only.
Okay. And then so like you would say the first time you buy your own weed, like you have, what I mean, because like you were, you first blunt with someone else's, you put it out. What the fuck? When was the first time you went and got your own weed? How old were you?
So that would have been about 16.
16.
I'm trying to remember because it happened real quick where there was like, I got that Afgooey from the buddy. I think he actually left me.
Afgooey, you remember the strain?
Yeah.
Nice.
I mean, it's impactful, and like. At that point, strain names were a thing, so it was like kind of important to learn about it. Because if you're trying to treat it as a multi-nuanced, healthy thing, like, all right, well, is this weed going to affect me? Is this same weed? And so on and so forth. But
were the parents cool? Like,
no.
Okay, so you had to like keep it on the low.
Yeah, that was DL. They crushed a few frickin' bongs and pipes
over the years.
It's okay. It's okay. My priorities got skewed. And it's funny now just because they're so proud of this, like, I don't want to use the term pioneering because that sounds like super fucking self-absorbed, but like to be a part of something before it's totally okay, because they like weed now. They're
Okay.
like, oh yeah, like weed. Can you give me some gummies sometime? Or?
So do you ask them to cover the bongs from back in the day and be like, yo, well, now do you realize those were antiques now? They would have been, you know,
This could have been a collectible.
Exactly, you know?
Right? No,
I'm
definitely
sure, yeah,
not.
right? No, yeah. It wouldn't go far if you tried, I'm sure.
Yeah, it was interesting. I mean, the way you get treated for fucking doing something that we can culturally, and I will say this. So I am somebody that got started smoking young. I do find that as we regulate, just like alcohol, like I don't think like most teenagers should actually be like partaking in that. I'm not gonna say it's the worst thing in the world, but like at the same time, you know, I think it's easier to make healthier decisions when you have some more years on the planet.
So, I mean, look, I to back that up, man, it's like your brain doesn't even stop developing until you're 25. And I feel like no, I don't think you should do anything that could affect that growth or that wave until until your brain's fully developed. So it's interesting because my kids, it's like I started smoking young. I want to say it was like 15, 16. Well, I mean, I know that I tried it earlier, but when I really started smoking, it was like 15, 16. And so like who am I to say like like my son, but I mean shit, like I want the best, right? And like brain development and things like that come into consideration.
And that's the way you communicate it.
Yeah.
Like, all right, so what do you want out of life? And like most kids can honestly answer like, oh, I would like to achieve this and this and this. And it's like, all right, well, how are you going to shape your brain to learn how to do those things?
Exactly.
And that shit boils down because like I will say that like cannabis does open doors for you, right? It brings you to new people, new connections, and new sciences, right? We're barely, as of this week, we are now soon going to be able to start researching cannabis.
That is wild. And yeah. So.
Dude, that's going to change people's lives. So think about it like this, like research grants,
right?
The federal government is going to be funding laboratories.
Writing them off now, yeah, and now all of a sudden we're in these urban myths that have always been out there about like what cannabis consumption does to you, like it's better than like how many joints is in comparison to smoking a cigarette and things like that, like all of those things are going to factor in, and we're going to find out the answers now,
right? And even some real exciting ones. I want to get to the bottom of the Rick Simpson oil. I want to see some trials.
Right. I think it's going to be interesting, man. I don't know who that is, but I'm out here just drinking waters out here from people I don't even know. But
stay hydrated, folks.
There's a lot of cool. What is dope right now, actually, when we talk about science, is how we're seeing independent studies and science is being done. Because we found out about right now, terp testing is like kind of like taking over for THC testing, like as like kind of like the way to go. But there's even now like even a deeper like molecule they found in cannabis. And
well, I mean, there's tons of molecules, various. I mean, phenolic compounds. It's even more than that because you have like flavonoids and sesquiterpenes. Like there's so many different layers to it, and obviously we're gonna have the time to isolate that. Like
exactly, man.
I mean, there's color compounds like something like azulene.
Okay.
So it is ridiculous, and if you can synthesize it, like companies can pay you. And I don't know if it's still like this, but I've heard of like, all right, if you can synthesize this color compound, it's like $5,000 a gram. And you can only get it in so many like small quantities that like it just takes so much material to actually produce. It's a really pretty color. It's like this blue tone that can,
Ooh, I like this.
which is surprising because you don't see it all the time in weed.
All right.
Oh, the champagne room.
Rolled up the champagne room.
So that is a flavor extravaganza in my opinion.
Talk to me about it. This is tasty, man.
So cherry cookies times sunset sherbet times rosé. It is
What was the game, my bad?
cherry cookies times sunset sherbet times rosé.
Yes. Yes. Now, are these flavors that are available out there on
Yeah,
Arizona
absolutely.
Market?
Yeah, you can find us.
I'm saying,
What is it? It's probably like 20 some odd stores across the valley right now, and
Hell
down in
yeah.
Tucson. Going down to Tucson tomorrow. Botanica.
fuck yeah.
Got to shout out Saints as well. Love you guys. Oh, the champagne.
Nice, man. So,
Well, so like, it's you're always gonna have your like heavy IPA drinker individuals, right? That are like, yo, I want this like 10% beer, and it's like you're gonna have how many of those? Like, that's filling. It's a lot to ingest and take on your system, and so that kind of goes back to these like subtle compounds. Like, all right, are you smoking for terp or are you smoking for like
Right.
just weed effect?
that's what's tripped out. I think eventually they're going to be able to, like, as a consumer, we're going to be able to pinpoint exactly what we want. And then, because all the science and everything that you're going to get down to it, you're going to be able to pinpoint. Because, like, for me, I was looking for what exactly is that punch or that grip. You know, that I feel like whatever that does, because it's not with every plant. You know what I mean? It's not with every strain. So it's like, I just feel like there's so many levels to it that
Yo, so
once they
like,
break it down.
it's funny. I saw some Purple Punch recently, and it did the thing that Purple Punch does, which is Tesla. Like, I've seen that strain Tesla plenty of times, but that weed gets me like a little more turnt than I want to be. And it's funny. I don't know why, like what about it, but like I've ran into other strains like that. Like even while I can smell it while it's growing, like I'm just like, oh, that weed's dangerous for me. And like some people love it. Like I had this blue OG for a while. Looking at that plant, like I was just like, that is gnarly, like kind of intimidating weed. Other people were like, that's what I want to smoke. Like
That's
what, yeah. And
that's what's stripped out, because you can find out your own body's cannabinoid system or whatnot, and they're now saying that they'll be able to suggest what cannabis will be like, that should
agreeable,
react. Yeah.
because like that's what it is.
So
right?
now hold on though. Now, are we looking for the cannabis that we agree with, or are we looking for the cannabis that we don't agree with? Like, right? Like, which one is actually the one that? Because we don't know. Like right now, you'd assume like, oh, it's the one you want that agrees with you. But what if it's actually like, because like if you're trying to catch a little high, trying to catch a little buzz, then you want your body almost to get, something that disagrees with it. So it kind of like, I don't know. It makes me wonder.
It adds a layer of complexity, and you had me thinking there just for a second. And I'm trying to think, a little bit more globally these days in terms of like wine, tea, beer, all that stuff. Just anybody who's like making a consumable that has this like agreeable, disagreeable qualities. So like for me, ciders can mess with my tummy. Like
Okay.
straight up, like I like them. They're delicious, but they're harder for me to drink just for whatever reason. And with weed, we're gonna have that. And it gets even more specific.
Yeah.
Like certain wines. Like I've drank, just a glass or two of like this one particular wine, and like next day I'm like, that's a new wrinkle in the brain. Like
Gotcha.
it stings a little bit. And then you have something that's a much lighter and like the perfect example these days is like these natural wines, right? They're not adding sulfides. They're not doing these extra forms of manipulation that in like wine world terms, it makes the wine heavier, right? It's the way it feels in your mouth.
Okay.
There's so many more tannins in it, right?
So then, without all that, is it much more like smoother, lighter,
refreshing,
flows?
less
Refreshing.
It takes less for your body to replenish. And I'm speaking anecdotally to a certain extent, but like that's why it's more of a thing these days. And it's trending. Dude, talking with fucking a lung full of smoke can be tricky sometimes.
No.
That's why we have a water.
I like to say we just polish the cars,
Right? But yeah, I mean, dude, keeping busy these days. It is it's kind of nonstop. with the. Oh God. We're
Okay.
lighting. What's going on? Oh, okay.
No, let it-
little touch up.
Yeah, little touch up here. Let it go out. Nice. So, like, growing up, were you the stoner in the group then? Like, or were you like kind of like, you know, you said a lot of people were drinking, and you know, you found your lane.
Yeah.
Like, were you that?
By the time I was like, oh, okay, I get it. This is for me.
Yeah.
That was the instant like.
Like back when you were 16, how like
Smells
you know,
like weed. Like where's Steven? Like
that was you?
level of just association, like even just by aroma.
Yeah.
And yeah, that was a really fun way of coming up, just because I got to see a lot of weed because I was super passionate about it.
You were that guy, right? So like it was almost like, because I mean I know how it is. Like smokers stick together, especially back in the day, like when it was taboo and things like that. Here you go. Pass
Oh
that
shit!
back to me.
Switchy.
Back in the day when it was taboo and we were looked really
Richie's
down
fucking
upon.
I love
Richie's
it.
the man. Shout out to Richie.
Dude, you roll beautiful
Yeah,
blunts, sir.
Richie
Love
rolls
it.
in the house.
So,
But you know what I
there
mean? Like
came-
you, like I feel like unless you other people smoke weed, you almost like at least when I was coming up, motherfuckers like thought you were like a fucking a burnout sometimes, you know?
Sure. And I did the whole like nerd stoner flex a lot.
Okay.
And then like just be a little over the top with it. I think because I wanted like approval, because I felt on some level that like, yo, this is associated with like the reefer madness, poor cognitive function, one of those things. So it was like an extra try hard for me to be like, no, I'm on my shit.
And you could skateboard, like you were skating still at that time, or just kind of
Oh no, skateboarding was a constant.
nice,
Yeah, like
right?
fucking
And you
10
can
years old.
kickflip and be stoned, dude. Come on, fuck,
That's a feeling,
right?
dude.
That's a vibe. I could never even ollie. That's why I gave up my skating career.
But
Cause
even
like,
coasting, like if you can learn how to like,
oh
pump,
yeah, longboard.
like yeah, like a longboard and like really cut a carve.
Yeah, I like the long.
There's actually something that happens like measurable in your brain where it's like rollerbladers get this a lot. Where if you're lean forward just a little bit, your inner ear and your equilibrium shifts, and it's like this euphoric feeling.
Really?
Yeah, it's like kind of that takeoff or that free fall
How
feeling.
crazy is that?
So
Hey, drop
When you-
some comments if you've ever felt the euphoric free fall while you're out there longboarding. I'm with it.
I mean, yeah, that's a pretty good way of saying it. It doesn't even have to be longboarding. I mean, people are trying to get me to go fucking skydiving these days.
Ooh, are you? Have you done it? You haven't
Nope,
done it yet.
haven't done it yet. I want to. Our extractor Matt, he loves jumping, and he talks about it as this like surreal little moment.
I couldn't
And
do it, man.
sure, I think it's an acquired taste, but like I don't know. I was always that kid that like I remember we had a wall in our backyard that like you had to jump over this little sidewalk and like while you're up in the air, like that's kind of a cool little feeling.
No, wait a minute though. I get that. I used to do some shit as a kid too, jumping fences, climbing trees, going through some fucking washes, all that shit. But like jumping out of a plane is definitely a significant level above all of those things.
There's a certain amount of fuck it, right?
Like, yeah,
you
there's
gotta
a lot
you
of
just gotta
trust.
send it
There's a
on
lot
that
of
one.
trust, goddamn.
Yeah,
I
but
mean-
like, all right, so straight up, do you remember that feeling of going to the fucking weed man's house and you had that little like, okay, I'm about to have to like make some moves, act right. I'm gonna have to like proceed with a certain amount of like, you know,
Okay, we're going to that weed.
like you gotta
That
be.
weed has something. Okay.
That's a reality. Like I remember those
No, I know
first
that,
few
I know
times
that.
of having a
I
bag
feel
of
you.
weed in your pocket, and you were just like,
You were just cool with whatever. Everything was cool. You were just like dope. You know, you come in, you get your seat. You're
hang
like,
out for a minute.
Yeah, you know, if
Dude.
that was the vibe, right? But
So,
if that
like-
wasn't the energy, you get your shit and you dip.
I was one of the luckiest young stoners.
Hell yeah.
I had a fucking cool buddy, mentor, homie that sold weed. Right, he was my weed guy, but also got into jiu-jitsu and
Wow.
went so far as to like start training and competing, and was quite successful in it. But like back in the day, it was yo, let's get together and fucking do bong hits and like basically try to fucking strangle each other on like a jiu-jitsu mat he had in his living room.
Like, okay. And this was the plug, right? So,
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
So he come over and like, what do you like, yo, I'm gonna get you this weed real quick, but let me show you this new wrestling move I got on you.
Kinda, sorta. It was more like a.
Was the weed?
This is just like one of those I don't know, young kid fucking sparring, like
He's all slapping you around a little bit.
it's not exactly. A dude tapped me every fucking time. That was the reality. He knew what he was doing way
weed
better.
must have been good then. Did he have the best weed?
Bro, his weed was ridiculous.
Explains it, man, because like you would not be coming back in this motherfucker. They were just trying to slap box and shit.
I remember the first weed I got from that dude. It was grape
What
ape.
was it? Grape ape.
Yeah.
Okay, we're actually rolling up some grape ape.
Right.
This is
Well,
a
that was
nostalgic
Granddaddy.
interview. Smoking blunts like that you did for the first time. He's rolling up some Gelato 41, but where was it? Right here.
The Royal Purple Diesel. So that's actually Granddaddy Purple. That's not the grape ape.
Okay. All right.
Close.
Close, right.
Oh God. You know what's a strain name I'm kind of glad died? And
Call
me a hater. Sure.
Phoenix Sun strain.
No.
Okay.
Well, what? Purple monkey balls?
No, I don't know. I don't know what the real genetic of it, but like in Phoenix, we have like the Phoenix Suns perps, the Suns perp going around for a while.
No.
And okay, what was my bad? What was it?
It was purple monkey balls. That was just a ridiculous fucking strain name, and it like made me uncomfortable. Like I was like, I don't want to put that in my mouth. Why is that fucking the expression we're using?
Okay, so you're comfortable with giraffe pussy then?
High as giraffe pussy?
We just saw a strain come out with giraffe pussy, right? Isn't that what it is? Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah.
I respect it.
Yeah, it's out there, man. It's a lot, and we'll get into marketing because it's like, it's
Dude, it's so much fun. Honestly,
nice.
Once you start playing around with like, what do people like? What do you like?
Yeah.
And so Richie told me some shit that I felt like was a true insight. This might have been Smoke Dog. I don't know. That was a long day. I was at Mita and we were fucking talking about marketing. And they said that the Mylar of today is basically the graffiti like of yesteryear. Like it's this form of self-expression.
Facts.
And the options are fucking limitless, dude. Like you can go through so many different ways because it doesn't even have to be a Mylar. Like I want to start switching to some more like reusable like storage containers, which kind of focuses on people buying more weed than like an eighth. Because it's hard to like make like super reusable like small weed containers. But if you're buying an ounce, like you can fit that into like some more practical items. And
I like where your head's at with it though.
But like even the shapes, right? So like there's all sorts of like meaningful shapes. Like humans look at things with like, oh, this has got this like beautiful curve, or like look at these lines. And so like the original packaging for the Dutchman it's a Mylar with our logo on the center.
Yeah, packaging. If I could get a packaging, actually.
Jordy. Oh, hold up. We're middle of two conversations.
Yeah, they're getting it right now. You guys in here smoking everybody at the high lounge.
Jordan, can I get a bag really quick? So it turns into a statement, if you will want to call it that. Like, okay, this is what I'm wanting to share with the world, right? And so the whole Arizona thing and like the exciting like, oh my God, like this treasure. And for me, a bigger part of it is the actual mountains, right? Like
the
superstitions.
Yeah.
And so the next version of this is going to be the Superstition Mountains as the shape of the bag, right?
There you go. He said, I'm going to do the Superstition Mountains, baby. You see it right here, this packaging.
It's something that makes it just a little bit more fun. And if you haven't gotten out and explored those mountains, it's totally fucking worth it.
Dope-ass mountains.
Dude, that whole area. Just going and hanging out by the Salt River, try to put the homage on that, the river flowing on there as well.
I see that.
And
I'm going to be out there tubing there pretty soon.
So fucking different.
It's been a minute. I need to jump out there.
I agree, 100%. Yeah. I got a stand-up paddleboard that I'm normally fucking kneeling on for whatever reason. I don't actually stand up on the thing, but
okay.
I'm down to go.
Now, do you not stand up because the balance you fall every time, or you just prefer it?
You're standing for like hours,
Yeah, right.
so it's
I'd
one of those
rather
like I'm gonna
chill.
sit,
Yeah,
lay
that's
down.
why I like it too. You know,
The tube's not a bad way
the
to go,
tube can't pop though.
but you also can get a little bit more control and like you're not just adrift on the river. Like you're in like you're on top of a small little watercraft.
How about we do a giveaway to the first people that send a DM over to the Lost Dutchmen Cannabis Co.
All right.
Showing that you are checking this out. And we got these 2 bags here for you. So go ahead and go drop that information where they can find you on Instagram and all that.
Lost Dutchmen Cannabis Co. at Instagram. That's the easiest and best way to find us.
There it is.
MEN, not man. And how that started was it's a collective, right? It takes a lot of people.
Oh, wow.
What'd you do?
I fucked it up on here. So that means I gotta go there and fix it, bro. We gotta go fix that right now. I can't have that.
I don't even know exactly what happened. How did you fuck it up?
Oh, because I got MAN on your name right there, dude.
Oh, dude, I thought you were talking about the recording. I thought you like fucked with the settings really quick.
Oh, you know what? No, yeah, on the recording, you're gonna see me. It's gonna go over there and fix it, but it'll all be on there. It'll be, hey, that's how we do it in Hyde, Arizona. Though we just keep it genuine and genuine as in we can't afford an editor, so we're just gonna post this live. Take a quick little second and fix that real quick.
Yeah,
I'll be right back.
Nice. This is an interesting experience. I'm pretty sure we're still recording. He's doing some on the fly editing right now. Oh, damn it. I tried to remember. I was trying to fucking up my calorie intake for the day before I smoked a bunch of weed. It's getting me. Doctor Who, champagne, gelato, and royal perk. Good and what's up, buddy? Good. I've just gotten to the point where like the amount of food that I've eaten today and the amount of weed that I've consumed today are at odds. And like I'm feeling real relaxed and like I just nourishment. That is the ultimate route. You gotta keep the batteries charged. Don't be running them dry all the time.
Nice. All right, got it fixed. So go ahead.
Also,
I was gonna say, go tell me the story on the switch up.
The basic principles were this. I mean, like, Lost Dutchman has been a creation of so many different people, right? We've all contributed these different parts of it. It actually originally came from a caregiver mentor of mine, which I was gonna transition because you talked about like, oh, like were you the stoner, right? And yeah, absolutely. But I also was the stoner that wanted to learn every like part of cannabis anatomy, and so I remember I was like talking to one of my buddies like in high school, like late high school. I was like, "Oh, dude, this and that, terpenes and like calyx."
Damn, early like that.
Yeah, and so he was like, "I've only ever heard one other person talk like this."
Yeah, because like I didn't know about terpenes until like really recently, in a sense. Like, you know what I mean?
So this was like, I mean, it's been out there since like. Dude, shout out to fucking Weed Maps and just early on fucking like YouTube stoner videos were like weed reviews from Cali back in like 2010 through 2012 because there was so much fun information that people were able to pick up. That fucking subcool, the weed nerd, and so like my buddy just goes, I think you should meet my uncle. He's the only other person that has ever like given a fuck about weed like that.
Okay.
That he'd met, and so instantly fucking hit it off with that dude.
No
And
shit.
he's like, "Oh, okay, you're about this life. Like, you want to come trim for me?"
Why? Because he's growing then. How many plants did he have?
So, not a lot.
Okay.
It was probably like caregiver days at that point, if not like soon after.
Okay.
So it was definitely small, and I remember like, doing like these crazy fucking dabs. It was like this magnetic fucking Connect set that had like these like glass vials that you would like screw in, and it was like just very elaborate. And it was like the first ways, and I think that might have been like a really clean alcohol extraction, where it was like a super light wash, so it's like still golden before it like starts leaching into the plant tissue.
Okay.
And you just evaporate it off, and God, we were fucking like just fucking blasting that thing with like a torch, just like old school shit, you know.
Damn.
This was right around the time of the swing arm.
Okay. Classic TI swing. I know about that.
It's been a minute, right? When was
It's
the
been a
last time
long
you hit one of those?
Fuck.
A decade ago?
Over now. You know what I mean? Like this decade would be like 2014 or 2004.
Oh shit! Yeah, no, it's over a decade.
Yeah. We're talking like 2001, 2 maybe. You know.
Oh shit! I came about a decade after that. Honestly, I didn't realize they had those around for that.
Oh my bad. No. 2011.
Yeah, 2011, 10ish. I remember there being fucking swing arms.
Yeah.
Those were some interesting days, right?
Man, the whole. I remember when we.
You got to keep it old school. You got to make people do like a gravity bong challenge here one night.
You know, people have said that. They're like, "Yo, let's do like old school, bring back the TI nails and shit." I'm like, I like to remind ourselves why we fucking are using them, or.
No, I mean, I think there's like a certain joy in celebrating like smoking
the
weed,
history.
where you're just like, oh no, this isn't gonna be like this normal way. This is like we're getting the job done way.
The TI swing was such a horrible design. Like, even like, why not? Why there wasn't even a bucket then?
Well, how do you feel about
dish?
Health stones?
So Hellstone,
I don't know if they're actually healthier,
right?
But I thought they were cool back in the day. I was
me too. I mean, we carried them at high maintenance, and we fucking sold the shit out of them,
dude. But it was also something that not everybody could use, because like you couldn't get concentrates like that for a while. Like you could, but like I remember there being a time like.
There's some bad concentrates out there.
Dude, there was some good ones.
I mean, there still is, but I'm saying I don't think there's anything as bad as there was back then. Right now, still, like those days were bad.
Oh God, yeah. We've come a long way, right?
Richie over here says we'd be surprised. I would be shocked. Put some in the comments if you think that there's something on the market today that is the same quality as 2011. That'd be wild. I don't think so.
Depends on what you're grading it on. Because like, there was some great fucking weed in 2011. Straight up. There were dudes fucking growing, crushing the hydro game, and like, I mean, the Chronic had already been out for 10 years. Like, so on that level, weed was at that point. But there were things that weren't developed. Like hydrocarbon extract, doing any of the resins. Like people were making hash.
Right, it was like different kind though.
But at the same time, like it was out in Humboldt, people used to just drive around to fucking dumpsters. Like if they were in the parts that like, you know, you're around like businesses and whatnot, they would just come throw trim in it because they didn't want to have to fucking process it. They didn't know anybody to send it to.
Wow.
It was a lot of people's favorite thing to smoke nowadays is the extracted version. It was just literally like, get this away from us. Like, we don't have the time for this.
Now, okay, so you met that, what was his name again?
The big homie.
Big homie. So you met Big Homie. He's growing. You guys started doing some little bit of the extraction, things like that.
Well, this was it. It started like, hey, shrimp. Okay,
Okay.
you've been hanging out. I like you. This is how we start taking leaves off of plants. All right, these little bud sites aren't going to help us achieve the actual like bud development. We're going to focus the plant's energy on these other ones by removing these. And it was like,
Lollipopping.
oh, okay, like, all right, and you just get your reps in.
Yeah.
And then after that starts coming like the more like chemistry minded shit, where it's like, yo, like, okay, what are we feeding these?
Okay.
What is that responsible for in like building a cell wall? Are we triggering different phases by having different nutrients present? And back then it was fucking super fun and old school. It was all living soil with blue mat watering systems. So it's this crazy Dutch technology that it waters as the plant drinks. It
Okay.
works really well
So it
for a
read the
living
soil.
soil,
Yeah.
right? Because that's naturally keeping things oxygenated enough to where like nutrients are flowing. And it's a very low maintenance thing. You can do it off of like gravity feed.
Okay.
Like a super popular thing for home growers are like these automated systems these days. I'm trying to remember the names of a couple of these
I like
products.
the hand water mine, baby. Let's go.
Hell yeah, dude, that is such a fucking meaningful experience where you're like sharing this time with this like living plant that you just there's nothing else going on.
Depends on me, bro. They
Dude.
depend on me.
When you do it to a greenhouse that it takes you like 30 minutes, like
Dang.
you get to
I got
have
shit to do.
then you have 3 more.
Yeah. Oh boy. Damn. Yeah. I mean, that's wow. Okay. So big homies, showing you the ropes. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And are you finding yourself to get more and more like? Obviously, like sounds like this is what inspired you to likely grow on your own, or
Hell yeah. So I guess like I had wanted to grow on my own since before that. It's
Okay.
like I think I had some like Reggie seeds and I fucking cracked them. I kept them in solo cups and most of them were male. It was one of those ones. They were frosty though. Like it still had some trichome development
Yeah.
on it. I don't even know if I ever smoked it. I don't think I did, but it was that fun like initial first grow.
okay,
Yep, cracked them. Wet paper towel. Tech.
okay,
Easy, easy.
okay, nice.
And yeah, so like at that point, it was just kind of be around it more, and I learned from him, right? Because back in the day, you didn't have a huge grow, you just had a relatively small thing going on, so you didn't have to be there all day. You still had to work, and so I learned like some certain like contracting skills from him, just general
Like setting up the mini split. And,
well, like the contracting, I mean more in like physical labor, like the actual like back in the day you had to have your like side hustle, right? You had to have like a legit job, and so there's walks of all life that participated in that, and you can be a carpenter by day and fucking weed grower by night. Like
Yeah.
that's what's fun about it, and especially with weed, because like it brings more of that into your life. Like the more you follow it, you're gonna have to like, all right, so building this room is going to require like getting tables going. All right, am I putting that on wood or am I putting that on metal?
Yeah.
Metal is definitely going to be cleaner, but also metal can be more expensive, harder to work with. So
all these factors.
next thing you know, you're learning how to build things, how to plumb things, how to do electrical, and that is necessary like for a modern cannabis operation. Like
What about lights?
HVAC.
You know what I mean? Like how much do you guys factor in lights when how much did big homie like school you on lights?
I mean, he taught me about like quality in terms of like the best light spectrums. So and like exploring how the plant responds to different spectrums, right?
Okay.
So like with LEDs, when they first came out, there was the blurple, the like purpley blue funky spectrum that everybody realized, oh yeah, just because it's a lot of light doesn't mean it's the right light, and
Interesting.
let's not use that.
Okay.
And so there's different results you'll get by using that light level, and like I don't know, he had some cool shit. He had like the Ushio bulb, which is it was the creme de la creme. I got like one handy down from him, and I was like, dude, this even old is like better than some of these other bulbs that I have. It was a great fucking picture.
Damn. Because I mean, I've heard like, what is it? Is it HP?
S, high pressure sodium.
There it is. I heard like that's
Or HID, high intensity discharge. So
that one as well.
same principles really. Yeah, that was the traditional way. They were hot as fuck. You had to cool them. So generally, you had to learn a little bit of HVAC because when you're moving that much heat around,
Yeah, that's a
and
lot.
there's that much water, there's a likelihood that you're going to have to care for your AC needs a little bit differently. Like,
No, I had to. Same thing in my house right now. Shout out to Arizona for voting in that we can grow. But building the room, the room that I was in, I noticed it. When I got all that equipment in there, the heat obviously was going on because of the lights, and so I had to install a mini split, and especially when the dry and the cure and things like that, or the dry, you want to be cold. I like to believe in that 60-60, which we can get into a little bit at some point, but
hell yeah.
So
That's gorgeous.
And even before that, there was a little opportunity where I was at a little home grow with the caregiver. We built like this whole like upstairs, had like 3 rooms and going and stuff like that. So it's like each project, you really do got to decide what's going to be best and different styles. Like, what were the styles what was the soil and like what were you guys using for like nutrients?
Okay, so that would have been a lot of Roots Organics products. Okay. Definitely heavy on the roots. They're like Buddha Bloom. At that time, it was always more fun to be just adding like every possible like compound that you could, and it still is like exciting to like constantly push the boundary. Okay. We also found out that like some of that shit is a little extra.
Okay.
And like,
meaning what?
People will use it in ways that you're like, and it's not really doing anything because you're not set up for it.
Okay.
So like,
okay.
There are times where if you're really truly like wanting to be organic and you can feed heavy sugars and these plant proteins and all of these like different organic matters, try running that on rock wool and just see how much you don't like. I was gonna say your life or your plant's life, like it's not gonna be good.
Okay.
And like there's forms of it, right? You can still incorporate it, but it's not gonna be the same. And I'm trying to think of some like other fun specifics about like the soil medias. Happy Frog, Ocean Forests, definitely used a lot of that.
Okay. What about what's your take on Tupper?
Tupper's great. I love Royal Gold. Makes solid products just kind of across the board.
Okay.
Yeah, they're great people. It's them and Roots straight up.
Okay.
Like, my favorite like outdoor soil to start with is Roots 707.
Why's that?
All right, so it's very mild in its charge, right? So if you want to rate a soil by how much plant life, plant food, how long can this bit of earth sustain this plant, it's actually relatively lower, right? So then you can start, because if there's a bunch of nutrients still left in this soil, you can't start adding certain things, right?
Okay, there's going to be mixing up your nutrients with whatever's in it, right? Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And so like also if it's full of wood pieces, that's going to absorb nutrient, like liquid soluble plant food into it and hold on to it. It's not going to let it go. And those little wood pieces are also touching your plant root. So next thing you know, it's not actually going to benefit you because it's becoming toxic. Too much of a good thing.
Too much, yeah. Damn. Yeah, soil is important. from growing, all the steps are important, man. All the steps are important. It's wild. Nice. Real quick before we move on to like more deeper into like the growing and like you're experimenting with that. Was your first weed experience? It wasn't. It didn't sound like it was seedy weedy. It sounded like you started smoking weed when there was like some really quality weed, or did you have like seedy weedy?
Oh hell yeah, I had CD weedy. Not the first couple of times. The CD weedy came later. So and it came
Really?
later for two reasons. One, like the people that I could get like good weed, like it wasn't like a regular thing.
Okay.
And then two, when I started wanting like, how about I get like a little bit more weed and like plan ahead for a little while. You started getting into like Reggie. And
Right, because you're like, oh, wait a minute, I can get for $20-$40, I can get a whole ounce?
oh dude, yeah, right. And then at a certain point, you're like,
all
right,
now we
I
got the
can get
Gelato 41. Excuse me. Here we go, baby. Let's go.
The gelato.
I'm a big fan of gelatos too, man. So
Dude,
shit,
I'm such a sucker for gelatos.
yeah.
They're my favorite. The sour apple gelato's coming back. So stoked on that. But gelatos have changed my life. Like, literally, like the license that I'm under now was partially dictated because there's a getting familiar portion when like getting in business with people. And they got to come by, check you out, see how your operation runs, see what your finished product looks like, and see your product while you're producing it. And so they came by at a time where I had a lot of Gelato 33 growing.
Okay.
One of my all-time favorite genetics.
And this is 41.
Yes. So same original seed line. They just got selected at the same time. And it seemed like Gelato 41, for whatever reason, was not as popular for a long time. And then now is like coming back with this like fierceness.
Yeah. Nice. So they came through, saw this gelato. You're like, yeah, go ahead, go roll this up. You know what I mean? And they what? What happened?
So, I mean, the conversation happened more like, all right, so how are you doing for a license? Like,
Beautiful.
because that
Do you hear that?
changes the dynamic. Because like you did something well enough that we can do business together. Oh shit! Sorry, I'm looking at a wall of glass, and when I was talking business, and you might be able to explain this better to me, and maybe some people are curious. This can be off the wall.
Yeah.
But the Hitman glass,
Yeah.
like debacle from
Yeah.
back in the day, what the fuck happened exactly? He was just getting like China glass and saying it was
This is
American
random
grown.
little. I love this switch up though. I love it. Bro, that's what it kind of like when they started popping out these rigs that I just like, bro, they're like import rigs. I mean, I would look at them, I'm like, wait a minute, like this is import, bro. And he'd be charging me like they weren't.
Oh.
And
Did you set off this whole fucking snowball? Was it you
yeah,
back
it
in the day that
wasn't
called
me,
them on
man. I
bullshit?
wasn't, because like I don't know, man. I wasn't really on that like that call out situation, back then like that.
Homie, I need more food.
I got
I'm
you.
fucking tapping for right now. Calories.
So I
Also, there's a wall of snacks
yeah,
here.
exactly. What would you like? We got a out of town
Bro.
pop is gonna dish you out a snack.
I think the garlic bread sun chips.
And what about a drink? You want to go ahead and walk? Got all kinds of drinks going on over there.
Oh shit!
Or
I have
actually,
like a peach Coke earlier.
we got Fly over here. He's gonna grab these
Sun chips, and then we're going like full stoner mode, dude. Like a peach Coke. Yeah, is that what it is? I don't know. It was fucking fantastic.
Shout out to Out of Town Pop.
I'm
Who's
gonna
that
stagger
real quick?
these.
Look at that.
I'm not gonna turn this into an ASMR podcast and be like chewing chips.
Hey, you know
That's
what?
just
That's
rude
cool,
as
though.
far as I'm concerned.
This is awesome. This is why I really enjoy doing it at our interviews at the lounge, because one, like, people might pop in.
Dude. Okay, now this is the flex though.
Oh, your camera's actually that guy right there.
Oh! These are dank. This is vanilla, I think. Maybe it's peach blossom. I don't know.
Might slide this over here, actually.
The blood sugar. The Weedabeaties. God damn it. I had a good old point, and then I got excited.
The camera now. Say what up, Richie. Richie rolling the camera.
So basically, it was just purely that he was importing.
Yeah, dog.
And
So then he
claiming-
got called out from someone. It just got called out, man. And then once he got called out, boom, it was over. And he hit me up too, and I remember this. He hit me up, and I'm like, he's like, dude,
look who it is, just walking in the room.
There we go.
Dude,
Nice.
these guys are my partners.
oh, okay, nice, very
So-
cool.
Small family-owned business.
Okay.
And they have helped provide the means to
Grab this mic over here.
do all this. Oh yeah. Russell, go ahead. No, you don't want to take a second and introduce yourself? Sandra? All right.
Nice, how you guys doing? Appreciate you coming in. That's really cool, man.
That'll be.
And we'll definitely get into. I want to talk about the whole Lost Dutchmen journey, and we're gonna lead up to it and things like that. So know that. But okay. But yeah, with Dougie, bro. So he calls me, and he's like, man, because I think he even called me to like get an order. You know what I mean? It's not like he called me like we were homies like that, but like just called me. I think he's like trying to see if I get an order or something like that. I'm like, man, like. I'm like, can't, man, like, not right now, bro. And he's like, like, especially, like, what it is. And he's like, I don't know what I'm going to do. And I'm like, dog, like, you gotta rebrand, bro. Like, if you want to go that route where you're going to take imports, do that. That's fine. But don't charge and, like, say that they're, U.S. made.
It's custom.
And so, dog, like, I honestly don't know. And Dougie, like, if you're watching this or whatever, but I feel like even the new ones.
Like that.
I do. I feel like the new ones that he came out with are the same situation.
Oh, dude, I don't know nothing about this. I've been outside of the fucking glass game for a long time. I typically smoke joints, but that's interesting. And so straight up though, like, I'm not trying to be like overly partial to any nation's glass, but like. Glass blowing technology, even out of China these days, like kind of catches me off guard these days.
No, that's why I feel the same way actually, because like I always would hear the disrespect on China glass, but I was always thinking to myself, man, I hope all types of customers coming in, like everyone under the sun comes into my shops. So like I asked my staff not to use that term, like. Because like, what if we have someone like from China come in and like it's all just China glass? Like, motherfucker, that's where I'm from, dog. That's
country of origin.
So what we do is we import. You know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, that's where people are trying to say you're not supporting something in the U.S. You're supporting something out of the country. So I say it's imported in or it's made here. So that's why I went with it.
Get what you like. And like it for the reasons you like it.
Look, at the end of the day, imports have their place. If you want a triple perk, you want all this cool shit, and you don't want to pay $500 or more, sometimes $5,000, then you're gonna go import. You can get it for $50 sometimes. It's wild.
And I think there's like a certain honesty in like mothership and brothership.
Oh, remember that. Man, a lot of people said that was a fuck up by Mothership because they were the ones that put out Brothership.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But at the same time, though, again, like, they're not the same. They were not ornate in that way. And that's keeping the lines separate enough.
Yeah, they were made from Mount Baker Farms. I remember those guys because I did business with them.
Oh, cool.
And I went to place an order with them, and they're like, oh, man, we're about to make Brothership. We got a contract with Mothership. He's like, so we can't make that order for you anymore. I'm like, what? Wow. I wonder whatever happened to Mount Baker Glass. I gotta look him up.
On the subject of glass, you ever watch the Blown Away show? Love that show. And I'm pretty sure it takes place in Canada. And like, there's glass blowers from all over the world.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
I technically have not hit those chips yet. I need to hit this fucking soda.
I like that show a lot. It's cool because it shines light on glass blowing. And we had someone from the industry in it. I think it was Damn, I forgot. I think it was. I want to say Shubba for some reason. I don't think it was Shubba. But what I wish, it just makes me thirsty for a glass blowing show that's based around functional glass art. Like we have like flame offs in out here, and one in Tucson. We have the Degenerate Art Show.
Functional glass is another level.
Yeah.
I was just having this conversation about like the first time I saw an Incycler and just finding it so novel, and that just being like this like little exciting moment where it was just like you just took something that I already knew and liked and just added a fun twist to it.
Totally. For
Like-
me, it was the force perk, where the way that they blew the glass, it didn't have a perk in it, but you put water in it because of the way that it was set up. You can inhale, light it, and it would percolate because of the way like it drooped or something like that. It's called a force perk. I was like, that's pretty fucking sick right there.
That is fucking super sweet, actually.
Yeah, pretty dope. But glass has always been like how you mentioned skating, and as being part of the culture of cannabis. Obviously, like the hand pipes, the bongs, and things like that have always been like, for me, watching the culture change over time and like evolve over time and like
Spread out more, because right, like you just mentioned it, like the Mount Baker guys, like that's a regional reference. I assume that's what they're.
I bet.
Actually, that could just be a stoner joke. That could just be like.
I'll play off
dude,
Jerome Baker. Shout out to Jerome Baker as well. What for they did, and
Dude,
also
the OG.
Why can't I remember his name? Snodgrass. Shout out to Snodgrass.
Okay, yeah. And I feel like I don't really know where they ever had their like glass blowing setup, but like I would imagine that's like a California thing,
Yeah, I
because like, the
imagine.
culture was conducive enough, so where it's like you're not going to. When did Jerome Baker drop? It's like
So Jerome Baker was. I'm not sure. You know what? There's a good documentary if you're interested in glass blowing and the history of it. It's like the I believe it's still on Netflix. The Degenerate Art. show.
Degenerate Art.
Degenerate Art. Yeah, it's a documentary on it, and that's how I learned a little bit about the history. From what I can recall, Jerome Baker really was inspired by Snodgrass, and then started making his own products. But I believe it was California.
In like, what do you want to say?
And I want to say
like,
95, 96.
Yeah. Okay.
Maybe. I mean, my apologies, guys. But I believe. I'll in the comments.
These are
Let me know.
approximations.
I'll definitely drop in and let you guys know for sure.
So, but like, imagine doing that in a different state of the USA that is not conducive, right? There's like he probably sold a lot locally at first.
That's
because
actually.
they were the people that were around that like smoked weed. Like you go to a different demographic and a different population, like people don't smoke weed like that.
You're right.
So as it like slowly starts spreading more and more, that's where like you're getting all these like crossovers. And you'll see it with brands these days. I mean, there's been people trying to make different themes for brands, where it's like, oh, we're the outdoorsy, like fun nature.
Or the most popular one right now is we're single source. Everybody's is going for that single source, but I respect it honestly because if you're doing it all, there should be some way to set yourselves apart from people who are sourcing it. And I mean that's not even a negative. Both have their positives. So, but what do you think about those sun chips? Let's posture the cause. Go and bust them out.
Yeah, we're doing
Let's do a little out of town pop promo.
straight up.
Yeah,
Did you see
he
it
donated
matching
them.
up to me?
Yeah, let's get it. Let's get it right here. These are one of the most popular chips though in the lounge, man.
Gordon. They're good. That is delightful.
Very good.
Instantly. It's got a nice little zest to it. So, where I was headed with that though is like regionality. So, Humboldt has changed. It was not the same. It's not the same county that it used to be, and like the whole area, because of how much the culture has embraced weed, there has been so much affecting the actual GDP of that area, just that people left. It's a trip and a half to like drive through it now, where
when did
you
you
see empty like greenhouses all like everywhere. It's fucking
Crazy,
insane.
right? That's sad.
But they're empty and falling down now. Whereas back in the day, there was
Thriving.
Yeah, it was a really crazy thing, and so
That's
I think what happens though is once we get to a point to where like weed's legal, you're always going to have indoor growers, but there's going to be a lot of outdoor growing, purely from like a monetary standpoint. And the places that grow the best weed, the places that grow the best tobacco. Why are people so obsessed with Cubans? Well, people love Humboldt weed. They love British Columbia weed. There's little select parts all over the world. Spain. I mean, I've heard stories. I haven't smoked any actual Spanish weed, and I think I've really only smoked North American weed. Like I've smoked Mexican weed,
Really?
or weed from Mexico. I've smoked Canadian.
You've never
weed.
been to like Amsterdam?
No, not yet.
Okay.
Dude, I've been growing. I haven't been traveling.
Gotcha.
Back in the day, it used to be like, oh, all right, this is your time off. Like you just, if you're doing outdoor anyways, you know, you'd work all year and then get a chance to vacation. And that was nice, but I stuck around the States. So,
Okay. Now you've referenced Humboldt several times. You were with Big Homie. When did you get from Big Homie to Amsterdam or to Humboldt?
Okay. So years go on, just pursuing it as much as I can, like helping out in the garden. And that point comes to where like
Real quick though, Big Homie was in Arizona growing out
hold
here.
on. So he has something up in the mountains, and he's ready to change his life. You know, he lived a straight up like the life of a weed grower, like an old school weed grower. So it was like somewhat reclusive. He didn't interact with
So
too
were
many
you guys
people.
pushing though? Were you guys like, did you have a brand out here in Arizona or anything? like that?
So he was the one that actually started Lost Dutchmen, and that was it. And so he did like various ways of donations for dispensaries back in the day. But the weed market was changing, and you know the state never totally love that, and so that was a thing that was like changing, right?
Okay.
And he like wanted to settle down in his life, find some love, knew a girl, straight up moved, and kind of started a path out in California. And so that was a thing. He hung around Southern California, and I, at the similar time frame, had a buddy that was essentially moving up and getting a job on a farm. And like I knew him well enough to where like when he came back at the end of the year, he was like, "Yo, like come with me." And it was like, "There's no way I'm not going with you." Like,
yeah, I'm out. Yeah, because I mean, in Arizona, besides that, like you said, you can grow and have a full-time job. What were you doing out here at the time for your job?
So at that time, I was working at a comedy club. I was skateboard coaching.
Got some jokes?
I was, painter, drywaller. I was one of those people that would have like 3 jobs at a time.
Jack of all trades, whatever you can do.
Well, if it was like gig style, where it was just like, oh, this is happening for right now.
So how old are you at that time?
So 20, 21-ish.
Yeah. You got it.
So
Nothing rooted here. So you're like, fuck yeah, I'm out. Let's go.
exactly.
Damn, that's tight.
So that
tight.
was, dude, but it was an interesting experience because like it was starting all over again. It was like, hey, let me trim for you. And you talk to them and they realize that you know a little bit more about it, and then you kind of get some other tasks.
Yeah.
And
Was it hard? Okay, so you knew the person that was going up there and getting the farm, so that's how you got in with him. But like, that's what you mean. You were working up with that person there, right?
yeah.
Cool.
So like, huge farm, and like, you know, people would have. It wasn't uncommon to have like 30, 40 people like trim crews for like how big these farms were.
And this is in Humboldt now?
Yeah.
Fuck yeah, dog.
So it was gorgeous, gorgeous area. And people would travel from all over the world. Like the joke, like I don't know, I'm pretty sure it's PC, but like Trimmigrant was a migrant trimmer, and it was so much culture and so much fun. Like,
Yep, because I knew people that would be out here that would just go for trimming season and just go out to Humboldt and like live on some land and be trimming pounds for a month.
dude, you make killer money.
They make killer money, come back.
It was insane. If you were like a good trimmer, like you could make as much as a grower in a day. You know, your season was only so long, but it ended up being like I mean, trimming's an important job, dude.
Yeah.
It's the last moment before like the person really like gets to enjoy their
It's
week.
like almost like the paint job on a car, you know?
It makes a difference.
It makes a difference, okay, so working your way up in Humboldt, what's the like energy like? What? Okay, so you were 21. What year? What year is this?
Okay, so that was 2016.
2016. Okay,
And so
not that long ago. Okay,
So
what's the
that
energy
was-
out there?
at a peak, right? So
Okay.
like 2016 moving into 2017, the market shifted, and there was a lot cheaper weed. Like there was so much of it that everybody was forced to sell it for way less. And so like during that time, it was changing. But 2016 and most of like 2017 were these ultimate hippie festivals, like
Nice.
in the sense of like the area
Yeah.
constantly celebrates it.
Okay.
So like a lot of that Burning Man, like really unique architecture and art and any of that like fun kind of creative hippie shit.
Yeah, I
like,
did some shows out there. I would tour, and actually the first time that I understood that there was levels to this shit when it came to marijuana was when I was touring with Potluck, who was a Humboldt based rap group, and I was on tour
Oh,
with
yeah.
them. And they busted out some Humboldt weed because Josh, underrated in the group, he's a generational grower from Humboldt.
dude,
So he busts out this weed. I'm like, what's the absolute?
you know what's
fuck?
crazy is I didn't feel like I sold it well enough there. The other side of Humboldt is this rural mountain like paradise. So there's different parts of Humboldt. Obviously, you have drier parts, but you have your like redwood forest parts.
Yeah.
And that sort of like county, like when you're in that kind of a region, resources, depending on where you are hours away in any direction.
Wow.
So you have to be a little bit more self-sufficient, self-conscious. You can't put yourself in a bad situation and be like, yo, I'm gonna go try to drive down this situation, but like, it might not be as easy to make it back. Like,
Damn.
dude, the roads there, they're not normal roads.
Right.
Like, there's potholes. There's nobody on them really, right? Because you're just so deep out in the country
Wow.
that like you have to drive safely on those roads, and that's like you got to use both lanes. You got to treat standard things that you see in city life on like a day-to-day level. Like the area that I was in, there was one stop sign and like 3 stores if you count the little farmer's market the guy had outside of his house.
Damn.
There was a general store. I guess you consider a post office a store.
Wow. Because they had some shit in there that you needed.
I mean, generally speaking, like you still wanted to get mail and whatnot. But like that's an isolated world. Like outside of that, you have to go an hour and a half, 2 hours in any direction to get to where you can have any other resources. Medical help. There's
So you stock up almost like
big
a camping,
grocery
right?
store.
Yeah, I mean, get out there, get a
Dude,
few
straight up, I mean-
supplies.
I went through a phase of my life, right? Because like I had to prove how bad I wanted to be in Humboldt.
Okay.
And that was an experience where I had to like literally like just pitch a tent and
That's
just
good.
get out there.
With the plants, how many like is that
No, well, so it was sorta, yeah, because it was just out on people's property, and it was like, okay, you want to work here? Like, well, our accommodations are a little bit lacking, but like, if you can rough it outside, like, you're welcome to be a farmer and grow all these plants. Plus, you have like awesome acreage, like if you want to grow veggies and shit too.
that sounds pretty dope.
But-
I mean,
It's
right?
dope, but
like,
it's like,
if you're doing to live there, I don't know.
so I did like all in all, maybe like 5-6 months
Okay.
in a tent. And
In a
like, dude,
tent.
so it was coming out of winter, and like winter, wet, rainy, suck fest
Look.
of like an experience, right? But
Well, I watch a lot of Survivor, so my question was gonna be, did you build yourself a fort?
hell yeah, dude, I had my spot tricked out. I had
Nice.
more than adequate blankets, or like 2 inflatable mattresses next to each other.
Nice.
I think it was like a 13 or a 14 person tent. Like,
Okay.
So like I literally had like a chair off to the side, like heaters.
That's awesome.
Oh, dude, it was styling, but like there was some times where it was like, well, it has been raining for like 12 days,
Hell yeah.
and like
Wow.
everything is wet.
Yeah,
Like,
everything's a slush.
yeah, I mean it's 100% humidity.
Fuck.
So that was like the part, right? And I ended up on like a farm that, because I just took a job, right? The original farm like that I went out to work for, they weren't hiring. They were like, yo, we got enough people, like you can kind of help us out here and there.
And that's where you pitch a tent.
So there, yeah, actually it was like a series of like, one of these trimmers left a camper on the
Okay,
property, and so
okay.
like there was an open camper.
So
and,
the
like,
first spot was the camper, and then you're like, they're not hiring.
Yep, and
So
so,
then you-
I had to go find another farmer.
Okay.
And basically, like, I had a whole, like, I remember the interview process where it was like, this is your moment to go talk about trying to
Nice.
stay here.
Please tell me what this interview process is like.
All right, so been like hanging out with a buddy, like, you know, not sure how long I'm gonna stay. Smoke some weed because I'm not expecting to have like a talk with the head honcho.
Okay. All right.
And-
Sounds about right. Sounds about right.
Homie comes back, and it's like these 2 properties that are like separated by a road. I'm like, I don't think I had a car with me at this time, so like I had like this gnarly hill to walk up. I had like just smoked and was like really feeling it.
Fuck.
And so like climb up this hill, I'm fucking like winded by like, the time I get to the top. And
Ray
homeboy's
smoke
just
again.
out there, as like a good land management person will do, is just sit and watch what's going on their property. And like you're like, oh, I gotta deal with this, I gotta move these, like this is something that makes like a smooth.
Hawkeye.
Well, I mean, there's something to be learned from like just staying with your plants. And
Right? I mean, that
like
makes
if
a
you're
lot
not
of
paying
plants.
enough attention to your plants, you're never gonna be able to like learn what they need.
Yeah.
So-
That's. All right, you get up this hill. You see the honcho standing over his field of glory. Is it still raining? Is this day 13 of rain?
No. This is like sunshine.
Okay,
fucking,
nice.
Like
Okay,
beautiful
nice.
little moment, distinguished.
Oh,
dude,
wow. There you
Like,
go.
looking at like this serious fucking thing, because like this was probably like 100-acre like ranch property.
Holy shit.
Yeah, and like most of it wasn't developed. So, but like you could. Oh, dude, it's such an amazing view because you get to like look out over it.
So what do you pull up and say to him? What's the first thing you say to him?
All right, so here's the deal. Like, I want to stay here. There's
Off the bat.
here are my skill sets, and like I talked about, just like some rough, just mechanical like ability in like working on machines, because like straight up, that's a reality out there. Is like a person who can like wrench on a quad or wrench on a UTV, change a tire, like any of just
Resourceful.
general human usefulness.
Facts.
Makes you stand out
Okay.
as a place, because like yeah, like a lot of people just want to be around weed, but like you gotta.
Are you really gonna fucking be resourceful? Are you really gonna be able to put down work?
what is your level of like helpfulness?
Yeah.
And so give him the pitch, and he straight up tells me, he's like, last year I picked up a bunch of dudes. I don't really have room on the team, but I'm gonna make some calls and I'll like find a spot for you. And he makes the calls, finds this other farmer, go through the interview process with them.
Okay.
Not the same thing.
Okay, so nice. Okay, so you're on the third spot now. Interview process number 3. Well, not really number 2 because the other one you already in.
Yeah.
Boom. Third one. What's this one like?
Way smaller situation.
Okay. 100 acres to what?
Definitely does I don't know the acreage on this one. It's definitely like maybe like 5.
Okay.
But like
Okay.
the ability to do anything on that land, the power availability, water availability, like infrastructure wasn't built here. It was very grassroots.
Wow.
And like, I mean, you're talking about like beautiful metal frame greenhouses that with like roll up sides, and then going to something called a hippie hoop, which is literally just PVC pipes stuck into the ground in an arch, and like you support it and kind of frame it, and you can put plastic on them to keep the rain off the plants, and or pull a tarp over them and do light damage.
So it's like a makeshift green room or greenhouse.
Yes, but the land was raw.
Okay.
So it was like, all right, time to get to work, start building an infrastructure. Here's the deal, like.
Well, what was the interview like? It was like you automatically hired. You were just like, yo, no, you came in like you need me.
Ironically, that dude was like, well, because he had the health choices regarding like that guy's lifestyle weren't as healthy as like the guy who had like kind of figured out some other things.
Okay.
And it was pretty much like all right, like, what are your expectations? Like, we have like humble means here. We're not going to be able to pay you like crazy, and this is the
no, but you are going to pay me. Okay.
No, it was it was such a humble thing.
But meaning like, hey, that's
like,
what I'm saying. But you were out there sleeping in a tent, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
so I moved my tent to their spot.
So like but to get any kind of income at that point, that's what I'm saying.
And I mean, they were cool because like straight up, when you're living out in the like outside areas of humanity, you have to work together, and so you end up having like people like provide things for you, just like the guy with the little like farmer's market in his yard.
Yeah,
like the neighbors you would get this goat milk from. And,
that's
like,
cool.
This
real
little
community
thing. And so like they provided meals for me, and I helped him with his like other business too. He was an actual mechanic, which was interesting.
So when you would go to these farms, were they all doing different types of grow techniques, or was there like a standard in Humble? Like, you know what I mean? Like, where was everybody on like, nah, man, like, this is the tech,
Nothing was standardized. Everybody had their own little formula. I mean, there were some general principles due to the region, because it wasn't like indoor where you have complete control.
Right.
You would kind of play towards nature a little bit more.
Okay.
You wouldn't see really any hydro mixes. You might see like a Tooper or a King's Mix or like a 707 where you do have more control. But like everybody had like fun little different things that they would do and like try to explore, and like that was one of the things that made me stand out there. So like eventually that farm was not having the greatest success in terms of like the people they chose to get genetics from. The plants came with issues, and the ability to like just have pots and soil to put them in. They were late. The plants were stressed. Okay. Because like they just didn't have the resources.
And this was before you were there, or you're noticing while you were there? This is the problem.
So this is happening while I'm there, and I'm like, yo, this isn't really what I wanted to get myself into. Like, I get that we have like a good goal, but the way that the approach is happening here, and at the time, it was a financial decision as well, because like it wasn't going super great, and I eventually told one of my friends up there that I've been in this situation, and this was actually on my birthday, and he tells me like, friends don't let friends get fucked, so move into my house in a week.
Wow.
Which was move into a tent in my yard because I'm still renovating my house. That spot was much nicer though.
He said move by my house, outside of me.
I had use of the facilities.
It's all love,
and,
though.
like,
No, I mean, it sounds like that's
it
like.
was under this awesome like walnut tree, and so it was like super cool. But end up switching, and that was so eloquent, just in the way that like his mind approached business in terms of like, how am I going to successfully produce this plant at the best of its possible expressions, and like the reason why people like to buy weed for all these wonderful characteristics.
There we go. And so, this is the fourth farm while you're out there then. So is this the one where you were set up camp then?
Yeah.
There we go. This
And
is
so,
the camp, baby. Under the oak tree?
For a little while. Eventually,
Okay.
then he like finished some of the renovations, and he like came out to me and was like, "Hey, dude, how would you like the master bedroom?" Because I was working my ass off, right? Like I was his helper, but I would also help like a whole collective of people. So like one point in time, and this was like one of the distinguishing things about me, was I brewed a lot of compost tea. So this organic matter that stimulates the like rhizosphere in your plants. It's wonderful. It can boost plant immunity, help nutrient availability, and it takes time, right? So somebody has to acquire all these natural like amendments. You can use like sprouted corn and alfalfa and kelp and guanos, whatever the actual mixture you want to use, like accordingly, and bubble it and make that microbial content active. So this helps a lot for soil.
Yeah. So
And-
now when he says tea, he's not talking about tea, which is kind of ironic, and we'll get into why that's all right. But he's talking about teas for the plants, you know?
Yeah. So I started brewing tea for like six different plots, and I would literally like fill a 55-gallon barrel in the back of my truck and take it all around town. And I would do it like 4 or 5 times a day, and I was doing that and just kind of helping with the general plant maintenance. While they were young, it wasn't as much work. And then one day we were building the footing for the swing arms, or the golden arms as they're called, which are the tarps the arms that pull the tarps over your greenhouses.
And you do that, why would you fold them over? Real quick. I'm a rookie. I don't know what all this greenhouses is.
So you know the difference between like photo period, like once the photo period shifts and the hours become less. So you go from a vegetative state where you have more hours to more of the fall state when things start to flower. The amount of light is getting shorter.
Okay. So
you can trick a plant by only giving it so much light.
Gotcha.
And up there, the climate's so nice that you can pull a tarp over them and they think it's night. And it doesn't get so hot in the tarp that it stresses them out.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate you explaining that.
Yeah, and so I was digging the like the concrete like footing. Like you have to make a hole and fill it with concrete and like get the thing solid on there because it's 15, almost like 20-foot long fucking arm, like steel arm.
Oh shit! Now you're bending.
Yeah, that goes on either side of the greenhouse.
Yeah.
And I'd been out there like all day, and it was like this beautiful moment because we'd get up before the sun was up, and I'm swinging away with the pickaxe, getting this whole thing, and my buddy just comes up to me and goes like, "Hey, so like let me do that for you." I was like, "No, dude, like you're boss. Like you have more important shit to go figure out and like get everything going." And he's like, "All right, go ahead, keep doing it. Like I respect it. How would you like to run this farm?" And I was like, "Absolutely." I was like, "I might need some guidance along the way, but like this is."
And how long in was this at that point? Like you've gone and done and shown your proof, chilling in that in the main suite master bedroom. Okay.
I mean, that was probably like January rolled through till June.
After 6 months, this dude's like, "Yo, let's fucking have this dude." Why? What was the situation? What was going on? Was he about to get another farm, or?
No, so like actually technically I was talking about from like being at first farm where things weren't going right, and he was like, "Yo, come stay with
Holy
me."
shit! So even less than 6 months.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
But you know, I had grown enough at that point to know how to speak his language and understand how to achieve our
How
goals.
big was that fourth farm, the one you're at now?
So that was 327 by 80-foot greenhouses, and like I don't know, maybe quarter, somewhere between a quarter and a half an acre of just outdoor.
Wow, man.
And
Getting that experience. All right, nice. So he comes to you and says that, I mean, what was?
yeah,
what,
dude, it was an honor, and I was like so stoked, and fucking. He was a role model, right, in so many different ways. Where like, dude had a lifestyle that a lot of people like aspire to attain, and it was fun because like you got those moments, like you're out, you can play your music basically as loud as you want, although there is a limit because you still do kind of have some neighbors.
Okay.
And get to play whatever the fuck you
Right,
want.
you're
Like this
chilling.
it's not like a working at a Starbucks and you're gonna have like hardcore like drum and bass and like various.
At this point, when you got off the Humboldt, were you always smoking weed? Like, was it always around? Was it like something that was still hard to, or was it hard to get?
No.
Or?
At that time,
Yeah.
dude, there was never not weed. You did literally, you'd be driving down the road and like you'd see your boy coming the other way. There's a chance that you might just trade joints or spliffs.
Oh wait, I love it,
dude. It was hilarious.
Cool. So yeah, so out there in Humboldt, beautiful scenery, on this farm, smoking hella. At this point, because you said, what year was this? You got out there in 2016.
So this is 2017.
Okay, quick. And then after a little over a year, you're in a great situation.
Yeah, and it was it kind of ruins you in some ways when you're in something that's that nice.
I got you.
So like, just on a basic human need level, water. So there was springs and wells out there that were completely untreated water, and like that water tastes different and like feels different.
Gotcha.
And like just the extra clean air where you're just like, oh, I'm sorry, I'm used to like there being very low particulate count. Like once you get used to it, and like you travel back to the city, and you're just like, oh yeah, this is not nice. Like this, there's a certain ick factor with it, and so with that, having the ability to like really enjoy it, like at that point in time, like I had vehicles I could just take wherever I needed to go. Like literally, if I wanted to, it was like just go take the dirt bike and just ride off into like Bureau of Land Management land. So like state like forest land, and you could end up at like these cliffs overlooking the ocean, and you're just like,
damn.
Oh,
roll one up, smoke one up, chill.
Exactly, and like those. Who doesn't want like that extra level of beauty to like live in? Like, I think Arizona is a good way of experiencing it. But if you ever go to Utah and like land at that airport, those mountains that are just like right off of there, that is a trip and a half where you're like, dude, that's fucking gorgeous, and everyone sees this all the time.
Right.
Like living in fucking Switzerland or the Alps. Where you're
right,
just like,
or Hawaii. I remember when I visited Hawaii saying that. Now, okay.
This is your everyday now.
You're out there cruising around and going through all these mountains. I mean, obviously you saw the documentary, Murder Mountain. You know what I mean? Was there any like concern about that going on out there while you're out there?
No. So there was just a general like respect that you have to have, because there was a criminal element to it. It was not exactly like everyone didn't play by the rules, and for the most part, it was a self-regulated world. So like nobody did each other wrong because everybody knows each other and like will rectify the solution.
Gotcha.
And so, unfortunately, due to like some of the crazy obscene money and like that attracts people with other backgrounds, and so like a lot of it was like just straight up kind of like gang stuff.
No shit.
Yeah, I mean, mob if you want to call it that, but like there's just groups of people that knew that this was just like a straight up,
being made. Yeah,
and they would do whatever they wanted. Like
no shit.
But within that, they'd be respectful to like the people in the community. Like it wasn't like
Interesting.
there was some people that like you heard rumors like if they tell you to go start digging a hole, like don't, because you're digging your own grave, and like if they just don't want to pay you, they'll just fucking take you out.
Wow.
And so like for as much of that, there was also like this deep fucking like
that would be random as shit though. You know what I mean? Like, imagine like go out and you like meet up with someone and shit, and like all of a sudden they're like, "Yo, man, I'm about to dig this hole real quick. I'm gonna have you start."
So, it was a thing that like you just don't drive down like certain roads if you don't know anybody that lives there. Like if you don't have a reason to be there, like don't go
down there, huh?
Yeah.
But that's just like. I mean, damn, that's
like
wild.
You can do it and check it out, but like, there's
come up on the wrong one though. Oh shit.
There's just like normally it's handled with like
respect.
Rules and etiquette, where it's just like, hey, why are you here?
Yeah, exactly. Get the fuck out of here.
It's the most like legalese business professional like.
Good shit.
You better have a good answer, otherwise like you're unnecessary.
I was fucking around on my quad. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah.
But that was utterly fucking fantastic. Ended up going late again into the winter. Oh god, what's that Wyclef song? Gone till November.
Gone till November.
So I was gone till November, and like came back here and got to like enjoy life for a while.
Okay, so you were on that farm running it, doing your thing, and I mean, what was the reason like?
So that was just the season was over. It was winter. And I didn't want to do an indoor grow.
Okay.
Like it was like I can have 3 months off and like
nice. You're all fucking.
Yeah. So it was I came back here.
Okay.
Hung out.
And this is 2017 November time then.
Yep. Ended up just kind of linking up with like old friends, and eventually like later on I got this gnarly stomach bug. It like rocked my fucking world. Like put me in the hospital. I was eating rotten McDonald's. My friends were throwing me a goodbye party for me going back to Humboldt, and
they fucking threw. I used to Mickey. Oh, what were you? Oh,
sorry. The thing was, I got inebriated and we were hungry, and my friend was the one that could drive, and he was like, "I want McDonald's," and I was like,
"That friend pull up tonight."
He's not here. He's not here. He has to get up early and have a long day of coding. Fucking software engineering. I'm not sure what his preferred term is.
So you get this bug though.
And that fucks me up, dude. It takes me out for months.
Months?
Yeah. Like my system.
Damn, McDonald's? Fuck.
Freaked out, lost a bunch of weight, had to do like a whole health like journey thing. And I mean, still to this day, like my system does not feel the same. Like my stomach is more sensitive. And
have you had McDonald's yet?
I have had it. I've had it twice because my dad wanted it real bad. Like he just
like,
got in off of a flight.
You were nervous?
And I was like, oh no, I was nervous, but like I think I just ate fries first.
Okay.
And then was just like, I trust it.
I trust it. You probably would have had some ice cream, but the machine was down.
But anyway, so like I didn't go back out for the next, I don't know, 6 months. And it was just because I wanted to like get healthy, and then I was also starting to think about working for myself. So
because you probably thought, damn, at that point you just fucking did it for this other farm.
And Arizona, like I could get patients and be a caregiver, and
because this was now at 2018, I'd imagine.
Mm-hmm.
And we had okay, there were still the ways to get the caregiver's card and go that route. You're seasoned out here.
So,
oh yeah, I was asked about Big Homie, but he had retired.
few depends on which big homie. Big homie, the one that was
Yeah,
referenced.
the
He had his own thing rocking actually down. Well, he was working with somebody who had an awesome fucking warehouse grow, and like it was just fucking dialed indoor HPS, and that was keeping him busy.
okay.
So
So you're out here.
I actually go to him and was like, yo, who are the old patients? Like, can we start signing some people up? End up going to the point where I have a full caregivers list and start doing that, but my means aren't there, like to be able to build the thing that I want to do it. In Arizona, indoor growing is fucking difficult. I couldn't afford to move up north, so I had to like work with what I got, and there came a point where I was like, yeah, I think I'm going back to Humboldt. Like,
no shit.
yep.
Okay.
So went up there, did like another like.
And this is still 2018 or is it 2019?
This is 2018.
Okay.
So then I did like another 5-6 months
With
up
with
there.
with the homie with the fourth
Yeah,
farm
yeah.
out there. Okay, cool.
But at that point in time, I had also met a lot of people there.
Okay.
So I bounced around just helping out on all these different properties. Because like
Smoking all the weed. he said.
when you're tired, like that's so long into the year, and like you've just been working and working and working because like you're seasonal, and like sometimes people need some breaks. So I could run grow, so I'd come in there and like just tag them out for a little bit, let them go get some rest, and that was a fun part. But I also like started utilizing some of the skills that I had learned when I was younger, because like at that point in time, I was like wanting all this grow experience, right?
Right. I mean,
and so like I got that hands-on time, I got that experience. But what I realized was like the value in that area was people that could do other things.
okay.
So
Other things meaning,
hey, I've got this house and this farm that like I don't even live on, but like my workers live there. It needs a paint job.
Okay.
And ultimately, like I've got cash to pay you, so
yeah,
like
let's get it done.
you get this extra mountain premium because there's not anybody out there that's like a painter for hire. You know, there might be like one.
And then once you help one person, though, they're gonna be, oh shit, who did that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, nice, dude.
But that would
So yeah, they're just
work
getting
on
it.
every level, where it was like, yo, we've got a big harvest day. Yo, we are like moving all these plants. We're building this. Like, come over and like come help. Like, I remember that was the way it was. Like, we had like 26 people pulling a tarp on a 2 million gallon reservoir.
Wow.
So it's this massive things. You got to use forklifts to bring it in, and you
Wow.
roll it down this hill. You have to tie a rope to it, forklift back there.
Wow.
And there's still people.
Big operations like that, huh? With forklifts and things like that. Like maybe not. I mean, I don't really
Tractors,
consider that.
skid steers.
You know what I mean? When, like I think about like cannabis farms. To be honest
Arizona
with you.
doesn't quite have it like that. We
Yeah.
do in some perspectives. So like you've got your Copper State, you've got your farm, and maybe a few other guys. But that was like just a way of commonly doing
Wow,
it in Humboldt.
That's
like,
cool.
That's just how big it was.
Damn.
Maybe not like full, 2 million gallons, but like
I mean, wow.
everybody had like catchment areas. Yeah, that thing was a trip and a half. 'Cause
That's
it was
tight.
like, I think it was like 18 or 15 feet like to the bottom. So you have like a 15-foot, 2 million gallon swimming pool.
Damn. Right? Did you guys swim in
No,
there? Or
never did. It was there because it would collect water as it was like running down,
Okay.
and you'd filter it after that. But like a bunch of like dirt and dust and everything blows in there, so you're just like, that's.
shit.
I'm not
Okay.
getting in there.
Not getting it. All right. Now, knowing that when you went back out there, because before you went back out there thinking about your own brand, thinking about starting something up.
Yeah.
So when you went back out there this round, did you consider what like strains and like getting like, like planning like
I
on
did.
genetics you would start with, like, or were you just like, kind of did you think that, okay, I probably won't do it with my own brand, I'm just gonna stay out
Hell
here?
to the fucking yeah.
Okay, there
I
it is.
used to just go to sleep like you know that little nighttime. I have my phone. I'm gonna like look at like my hobbies. It was just looking at seed banks and trying to pick out what was the gear that I was gonna run. So it was at that time I was always looking for Northern Lights and cheese.
Okay.
Yeah. You know, there was always like the fire looking like cookies one that people would like post at that time.
Yeah.
So like it was a plan in terms of like, all right, I know what I like. I was like, I've seen enough of things to also know what like the market's gonna want. Because like there's always these like crazy flavors that don't catch on. You know, like there's certain strains like gelato shaped the world, cookies shaped the world, sour D, OG, like just every iteration of it. And so like you learn like what best suits you, and that was always like a huge debate in Humboldt. Was like, oh, this year everybody just wanted OGs and diesel, but the next year all they wanted was something purple and exotic. And so the following year you'd grow a shit ton of purple, but
And
then they want diesels
they
and OGs.
switch it up. Yep.
And that's just a constant thing in the weed market.
Same.
Like,
Same. It continued to happen, you know. So 2018, you're out there, you're helping everybody out. Why, you know, how long did you stay out there? Did you stay with that farm, or did you?
No. So I bounced around, made like the money that I needed, and then came back. And,
I'm actually gonna fix this real quick just to make sure it's get a little bit louder.
Right, and I keep like scooching back into the
It's all
chair.
good, though.
So had like amassed enough capital to do what I wanted to do, but better.
Okay. So you were saving up capital while you were there, knowing you were gonna come back and like build what you wanted to build.
Yeah, that was the path. Like
Okay.
it was like, all right,
Tight.
like how do I level up and keep like progressing? And so do that again. Straight up just like have a caregiver set up to like the best of my ability.
Okay.
And then had a few other like worked another job and got to the point where I was like, okay, like I need to do like another one of these, like try to take it a step further. And like Humboldt was the area that was like providing me the most like personal gain in terms of like financial aspects of my life. So I ended up just being like, all right, if you guys are the people that are willing to like use whatever talents that I have, go out there, essentially do the same thing.
Okay, so now we're in 2019, I would assume.
Yeah.
So you're like, so you come out here. Did you just stay out there? You never came out here again? You realized wait, fuck it.
I
Humboldt. Like,
I
why
came
not
back
just start
one more
something?
time. That was the thing.
Okay.
I came back and like tried to step up in the game.
Okay.
And then 2019 again, I was like, you know what? Let's do that one more time.
Okay.
And see where that's.
Yeah, because I mean, shit. Even with this conversation, it got me thinking. Like, yeah, that's the mecca of cannabis. Like, why not just be like, you have the plug,
dude?
You're in there.
That's a good way of putting it, though, because like to people that are the dedicated few that wanted to be so into cannabis that like you traveled, you took your life and brought it to where weed meant something more to like the cultural collective.
Huge.
And so that was the just general like direction where like you end up drawn to it. I remember like laughing and being like, I felt like a fucking just like this like poor monk living in this tent with these like humble means.
Sometimes,
and so I would joke and call it like the Humboldt monks, because there was like a bunch of people that did this shit.
How wild, dude!
And
how wild! At one point, how big was camp? You know, how many people?
Well, dude, I mean that's a different story though. It's like
that's funny.
So the farm that I ran the most like ended up having 10 trimmers that came through the spot.
There we go.
They would all live there. So it was like at that point, thankfully, I was like chilling in the master bedroom.
Okay.
But there were people with campers. There were people with tents.
That's cool.
And they were such interesting people, like all around the world, like Boca de Toros, Israel, like just the most diverse group of people that were like, all right, hey, like we're here to
What
trim your
up,
weed
huh?
now.
And now
Like,
and at the end of the day, they all come together, chill out. Like, there's many times, like in situations where, you know, you'll be in groups of people that you don't know, and at the end of the day, you all come together around like a fire or something like that, and those could be some of the coolest conversations, getting to know people. Um, so, all right. So now 2019, right? Yeah, you're in Humboldt.
yep. So it's doing my thing out there again, just bouncing around, helping everybody, and end up driving back. I get a call from my cousin-in-law, and he's like, "Hey, I have a real estate opportunity that I would like to be like entertaining. It's a marijuana grow, and I don't know anything about this. Like, would you be interested in like running a business?" And
Yeah, what?
I was like, "Yeah, dude. I'm actually just like about to drive home from Humboldt right now, and like this is an 18-hour drive if I do it like straight through, which I was not going to do that time."
Yeah, but I know I could do it.
Yeah, and I was like, "I'm gonna talk to you like once I get off the road, and we'll like see what it looks like." And so he's an awesome dude. He is a aeronautical engineer.
Okay.
Like that was his background.
And this is now someone in Arizona.
Yeah. So
Okay.
family, extended family. He married my cousin Cassandra, who's also part of the business.
Okay.
And we end up doing an interesting deal with somebody where it is, hey, like this is kind of access to a license. Like this is just like a functioning spot. And that's where the story gets a little extra like turned up. Like you're
Okay.
a part of the roller coaster where you're just like, cool, like let me come check it out. And like straight up, like they were nope, no other like cultivator can come in here. We're not like letting somebody who's around other plants like come into this
Beautiful.
place. You just agree to buy it, and essentially like you don't get to kick tires. And so I didn't even get to like see the place originally beforehand.
Interesting.
And it was set up in a lot of like old school, but like there was new modern tech there, and the old school parts of it were struggling to keep up with some of the other parts.
Okay.
And so like it had its
Makes
challenges. It had a lot of like electrical issues where it was just the grid wasn't balanced properly and breakers would pop, you know, pumps wouldn't turn on. It was a problem.
Okay.
And even they had some problems too, right? That they didn't disclose at the time of sale. Where,
Right. They're
but
like,
you find out later because like you have some of
you're
the
in there
people.
building it.
Some of the people are still there, and
Oh, shit.
they say things like, "Steven, the bugs are back," and you go, "What do you mean back? You guys have been saying this is a pest-free facility the whole time," and it's like, "I mean the russet mites," and it's like, I heard that correctly. That was russet mites, which at the time, like, you know, was treated like a fucking death sentence.
Oh man.
Like it was like commonly joked, burn down the building, start something
Wow.
else. And it required a complete cut down of the genetic stock, sterilize everything.
Wow.
Not necessarily just. I mean, it's common in cannabis facilities for there to be like poor management. This is why like the state does actually a pretty good job. Like I don't remember if you saw those things on the news here back like 4 or 5 years ago where it was like moldy wall at a grow facility, and like some employees just straight up put their employers on blast.
Okay.
And so like we broke that place down, just cleaned it, cleared out drywall, fucking started fresh, and that's where like new genetics are coming in.
Okay.
And at this point in time, the relationship is with a license holder that is just white label.
So this has got to be getting closer now to.
So this is 2020 officially.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
And we
So
just
this
went
took
red.
this long. Yeah.
Yeah. Holy shit.
But we also just popped off with COVID.
Facts.
So,
But that was a really good time for cannabis because a lot of people were smoking, a lot of people buying it.
Yeah, no.
But when it came to building something, horrible time because the supply chain was cut.
there were a lot of things that were different about that time, other than any time you could be starting a business.
Right.
And so get that job done. Are working with the license holders, saying like, what is it that you want? Like, what is it that you need? And they are expanding on their own. They are setting up multiple different facilities, and they're like, yo, you guys are using our only medical license. And like, there's certain municipalities that would only allow medical licenses in their area. So they were like, we need to use that. End up,
Yeah. What?
yeah, so end up switching licenses.
Okay.
And
Damn, that's wild.
looking at it, it was like a really big operation. Like, it was like one of these larger MSOs, and they imposed various like stipulations on like how to like your business can operate, and you know what you're willing to give them to do it. And so wanted out of that,
Okay.
went to the market, and that's when actually, well, bud.
And when you say you went to the market, you mean like at this point you're kind of like seeing what's out there.
I skipped a step, right? So original license holder, they're not only do we need this license somewhere else, but like we have so much weed of our own that like the usefulness of like having this extra weed, we need to focus on selling our own weed, not like your guys' weed.
Right.
So we're gonna let you do like a whole brand concept. And so talked about it. There was a couple of different directions to go. Basically kind of did it a submittal style where it was like, here's 3 different concepts, right? And Dutchman, because that was what the big homie had called his original LLC.
Nice. So give it a little bit of like a historic vibe with being in Arizona.
And just the appreciation for like a little bit of outdoorsy shit, finding the value of nature. That is the bottom line, like that I think like, you know, Dutchman kind of stands for.
I love it.
Is it's wonderful in that regard. And came up with the logo, came up with the graphic, pitched it to the license holder, and the license holder goes, I like that one. Go with that one. So I call up big homie and say like, hey man, like I can revive Lost Dutchmen. Like, can I take it and run with it? And he's like, dude, it's yours. Like, fucking
Yeah, shout out to the big homie right there.
straight up.
Right? Because he could have been like, you know, yeah, but, you know.
No, he was stoked.
That's
He
love
was-
right there.
He was just, I mean, it's novel. Like, when you see somebody who, like, wants to be like you and, like, pick up, like,
Torch and run with it?
Yeah, like,
Yeah.
just any sort of study, right? Because, like,
And as
he was
you're-
the one who taught me this shit.
Yeah.
Like, I was, like, young little greenhorn who, like, didn't know nothing, like, his young buddy.
Yeah.
And he is now, like, off doing his own thing and is like, fuck yeah, bro. Like,
That's
just
cool.
get after it. So...
Is there anything that you do today that big homie showed you the ropes?
I mean, from day one.
Give me a drink. What are you? What? What's that?
Like, day one. I mean, like cloning, planting, this general
No
like
shit.
it's all like, you know, general uno más cultivation principles. It's just fucking stuff that we all do in our own ways.
That's fucking wild right there. That's cool, man. So like, so you really caught on to someone that taught you right. You know what I mean? Like in,
Yeah, but he taught me how to be flexible. It was
Okay.
like, there's not just one way to do it. You got to learn all these different styles, and then you can suit what best fits your needs. And that, I'm pretty sure he was the person who said like, taking like your only space to grow is a cramped hot area, like that'll make you a good grower. Like if you have just like this fucking spare bedroom with low ceilings, and, like you can barely fit shit in there,
Yeah.
like that's when you get good, right?
Okay.
Because like the struggles are like the hardest at that point.
Okay. Nice. Nice, man.
So-
Real quick, appreciate you watching. What I want to say is the High Lounge would like to gift you a month membership. So if you are tuned in at this point in this interview, go ahead and hit me up directly at Sir High and got you a membership. If you're already a member at the High Lounge, you can gift it out to someone yourself, or wait for it to be yours whenever you're ready. But Shake and Bake, appreciate you guys vibing out with us.
Shout outs.
Yes.
Much love, y'all.
Okay, so they wanted the Lost Dutchman. You're carrying it on. He green lights it. You're like, let's run it.
Yep. So it gets going, and that's when the reality. And this is like the next thing to learn in any like weed market, right? Because just production's one thing, but distribution's a whole nother level of business.
Fact.
And like that's
Fact out
straight
here
up
right now, yeah.
is what separates any people in business, like that scaling level.
Yeah.
And so start getting to the whole networking, meeting all the people that are currently like the people that can
dispensary
handle
buyers, basically,
distribution.
like people that are going to put it on the shelves in dispensaries in Arizona. That is a whole other ballgame. That's a side that like I think that people don't really consider when they think about opening up a cannabis brand or going into cannabis. That like,
so it's again, it's
who's
one of
gonna
those
sell it?
things that depends. Like, what is it that you produce?
right?
So it boils down to that level of an experience that you can give somebody. And there's been always different ways to break out where it's, okay, all right, people that pioneered infused pre-rolls as like a commercial product instead of just something that like you might be able to get because you knew somebody with like a bunch of weed,
Yeah.
right? Because that was a rare thing for a long time. Even in the dispensary market, that was not a common product.
What the
Infused pre-roll.
oh infused? Yeah.
It took a while to catch on.
I think that I don't remember the first one that popped on the market out here.
I mean, I can name a few names that like stand out in my mind, like
Yeah.
Jeter, Leafers.
Were those of Jeter was the first one? First?
I don't think they were the true
Wow.
first, but like as far as people that demand like cultural awareness,
Oh, I mean, they took over when they were the ones that first had the biggest impact on it.
absolutely. And so that in and of itself is like a way of exploring the market, right? There's so many different ways to get a person to want to work with you and sell your product. So being the first at trying to make this thing and then also like honing that in, because pre-rolls for the longest time were like a dirty thing. It was
No, the stigma on pre-rolls is real bad. Like, it's like basically
Right?
a shake of a pound. But I agree with like,
if it wasn't trimmed, like
nice,
just straight up
exactly.
spicy fucking no bueno.
Because you're seeing that right now with hash holes, where the hash hole is like taking over, like in a sense, like it's that new product that everybody's trying to
So
get out
it's
there.
it's the thing that hasn't been provided as an option, and so now people get to try that and say like, that's what's great about this unique version of doing something. Like, I mean, again, that just translates into like cider versus champagne versus beer. It's something that is, they all have commonality, but the way that you get to that thing that you smoke or that thing that you drink is got some variables.
Try it out. You know what I mean?
And
Okay, so now when you're out there, making relationships, this is in 2020, and during the COVID time, where honestly, I would guess that it wasn't too hard, right? Because that was hard. Weed was pretty scarce. A lot of people wanted weed at that time, and I remember it was hard to get weed.
yeah, so it's always a very saturated market these days. So I mean, it wasn't too crazy like during the pandemic. I feel like there was at that time and like in the height of it, because like the rest of it kind of blossomed as we were easing off. So this was more 2021, and at that point, dude, like people had been building out, right? So weed went legal, and their projects, their builds weren't even done yet. There were people that didn't launch until 2023, even though they started building in 2020.
That was literally me, actually. I didn't
Yeah.
do cannabis, but this lounge
Right.
started in 2021. Didn't finish until 2023.
So all of a sudden the market changes, and for the better. There's more diversity, but at the same time, like there's diversity of all spectrums. So like there's product that is manufactured with as little attention as they like can afford to give it, where it's like there's so much of it we can only give our attention in so many places that this is where mids come from. And that level changes, like the value of weed in an area. And dude, it's insane when you think about like all the red tape and the costs of doing business and the cost of your products and packaging and labor. At the end of the day, like people are paying, excess of $2,000 a pound just to produce it.
Damn, that's what we hear, right? And then they can't even find it or sell it for that.
Yeah, and so there's tons of different models. That only applies to certain people, but like it is fucking expensive.
Yeah.
And so when there's all this other material, which essentially gets the job done, right? You can smoke it and it'll do what you're looking for.
We saw a lot in the market for a while, and I think that there were brands that came out and showed, that they're, with care and quality and love. Gonna say it. You can get some quality, meds, and I think that, with your company, you're introducing that. You know what I mean? Like, so, how has been that journey? Like, have you been since that 2021? Have you been with the same, group license?
Yeah. So like after that transition. Away from first license, they put us under that MSO, and then the one following that, it's
been there.
Yeah.
Okay, so like how did you link up with the next one again?
So I literally was just calling everybody because I was like, yeah, I don't know if I want to like be working with these people as much as I would like to be working with somebody else. And they were like, all right, I know your weed's good enough. I'll tell somebody to come look at it. And you can further the conversation from there.
Weed sold it, baby. That's nice.
It was just good enough. It was one of those like, here's the rules here. Like,
was it Gelato 41 again?
33.
Oh, was it was again? It was 33.
No. So that was the license, right? So that's
okay, nice. All right, that makes sense. I always think it was nice. Okay. How fucking classic, bro.
So that ended up just snowballing into a lot of just like knocking on doors, meeting people, and like finding out like what everyone's needs are, because there's always a demand for various tiered products, and it's going to be interesting to see who ends up taking this like quality and just general level of like cultural acceptance to places that are going to keep growing. Because, and like I'm gonna go back to the Four Peaks model. Yeah. Like for them to get like acquired by Anheuser, like there's already a certain level of like distributors. So like who has the most dispensaries? Harvest, Curaleaf, Jars, Nirvana, like Mint. All these people are going to end up being able to be the people that get you the good stuff or whatever you're looking for.
I wonder, man. It's interesting because that whole, yesterday announcement of it being a Schedule 3, like, what do you think about that? What was your first reaction on that?
That doesn't mean that we're that much closer to there being like smaller craft farms. Like it's a huge step, but like we're in research phase. They are just opening it up. Like it's still a controlled substance. Like you can't just go buy it. Right. You have
to have a prescription now.
Yeah.
So like, are you worried that some of the take is that pharmaceuticals are big pharma and Pfizer are going to come in and just completely wipe it out in order to sell a Schedule 3? You have to meet certain criterias and things like that. Like, do you concern yourself at all with that kind of?
No, so I super look forward to larger legislation because at the moment we can get past that and move towards like interstate commerce, because it'll happen in a couple different ways. But probably like the states that want to participate that are connecting, or like you can do like a specified flight for. There would be people that open up and like are able to work together, and that's going to help shape things. Just because like that Anheuser model is the most perfect way of looking at it. Like, how many different breweries do you think have come up in the past 15 years that you actually know, that are in your brain? Like, I can only think of a handful of like ones that have actually like.
I mean, but the difference would be is that, like, liquor is not even on the controlled substance.
But that's where I'm saying we're headed, though. Is like we'll get past that level of like, okay, so it's at least this accessible, and now it'll just kind of start eking its way into like, oh, you guys are both wrecked, then you guys can play nice together and like help each other out.
Because I think it should have been descheduled, right? I feel like a lot of us feel that way.
Yeah.
Some of us feel like it should have been left alone altogether, right? A lot of us, some of us out there think, hey,
descheduling is what we need, and this is my point, because it's going to make it more of a craft product. You're going to be able to do it wherever you want, but the people in the areas that can do it the best, so like that will revitalize Humboldt as a county, because the whole world will smoke Humboldt weed. It's just like people drink Italian wine, people drink Australian wine. Like, there are certain regions, like, actually, just because I don't know if I know enough about this subject, but like there's Swiss, like there's not as many Swiss wineries. It's just like in Arizona. Arizona's not necessarily known. Arizona's not known for being a great wine growing state.
Yeah, fuck no.
And
then we have some parts that are, like, I think Prescott might have some wineries out there, but
oh hell yeah.
Oh, and also shout out to Lunchbox, who was presents this podcast. Actually, they've got a dispensary in Sonoyta, and that is the wine valley of Arizona. So shout out to Sonoyta out there.
Okay, super shout outs.
Yeah.
And as that, like, we develop that culture, because Arizona also isn't just Sonoyta. There's like, we've got our microclimates and we do cool stuff where we can, but like on a global scale, when you're factoring in like, dude, people don't understand how huge California is, and like from like Santa Rosa fucking all the way to Oregon, you're just amazed by how much weed was grown.
I definitely think that California is the mecca of cannabis in the world, but I would even narrow it down to Humboldt. I know Sacramento's gonna be pissed to hear that. A lot of people say that Sacramento, a lot of growers from Humboldt, moved down to Sacramento.
But again, take it to the Acapulco Gold, fucking Maui Wowie. Like, people in Hawaii that are setting up farms now are already aligning themselves with the overall global view on weed, where it's like, these are like our terms that we identify with. We know fucking Maui Wowie's dope. Thanks, Hawaii. Like, I don't know if it was originally bred there, but I'm pretty fucking sure it was. Like, I think it's an accurate name.
Have you ever smoked Maui Wowie?
Yeah.
Okay.
It wasn't grown in Maui, so.
Now, because I talked to, we had Barney on here, and he was saying that Maui Wowie was never even a real fucking thing in Hawaii.
Okay, see, that's entirely possible. But like, I have seeds that have been like, given across Hawaii for so long that like, I don't know how far they go back, but homie's like, dude, I'm from Hawaii. I want you to grow this like Hawaiian weed.
This is the Maui Wowie, baby.
I
love it. Now
we're gonna call it Howley Girl.
Hey, there you go. Okay. So at this time, you're not concerned at all by the Schedule 3. You're gonna keep pushing it as is. Like, it changes nothing in the forecast in the 5-10 year plan for you.
Not necessarily. Things could accelerate much faster than even this. Like, we could experience, partial or like full nationwide like wreck within the next 5 years. It's just depends.
Yeah. I mean,
So-
hopefully it doesn't take another what? It was like 53 years or something like that. Something crazy.
Right, but like the progress is exponential. It just keeps building and building and building, and then, as a world, we need greener ways of like supplying ourselves with everything, and that is associated with the other thing that the world needs, with money keeps it going around, right? So it's going to be hard to argue with, like, hey, like, why don't we as a country like produce this thing that's essentially healthy for our economy, healthy for our people, and beneficial in so many ways.
And cannabis, it always has that way of being that. You know, I mean, I'm glad they're tapping in eventually, and they're going to see.
Yeah, but they're because they've never done the research and they have to do it correctly.
You're right.
They have to
I see
say
what you- I
we're
see what
doing
you're
the
saying.
research
Yeah.
first, but we're getting there, guys.
Yeah.
So
Well, man, I definitely know we've been chopping it up, and I love it. You know what I mean? Like, I really got to break
I think we're
into
gonna have
the
to
story.
schedule a second. 'Cause
I agree.
I've
before
been up
we
since
get outta
fucking
here,
419. I'm tired.
Let's talk real quick before we get out of here, though, about Lost Dutchmen. Currently, the team, real quick. How many people we got on the team? I know it's a small team.
7.
7 people, my people. Come on. This is a small operation. This is crop as it can get. What strains? Like, someone's listening out here and they're like, I need to try this out.
All right.
What strains are you asking them to get out there and try?
Royal Purple Diesel,
Okay.
Doctor Who,
Okay.
Gelato 41.
Okay.
If you love gelato, then it's as pure and true to the gelato heritage as it could be. And I'm trying to think of some other ones that are super exciting.
I'm gonna
right
get out
now.
here and tell you right now, this champagne room.
That does it for you? That's the one?
Honestly, I felt like this one was I'm excited that this is a fat little baggie.
Right? Fuck yeah.
I'm putting
that
I'm
one was
putting a little bit
extra
away for
because that
Richie.
was basically what I was planning on smoking tonight.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I was like, I'm
Nice.
gonna put extra in this one because
I like it.
I don't know if I want to smoke all the other weed if it hits me too hard. Like, this is the weed that agrees with me the best.
Bro, you came out here and blessed the lounge, man. Yeah, I see you got 2 big old fucking turkey bags over there. What were the turkey bags?
Apples and bananas and rainbow sherbet.
Rainbow shirt. Did you get me that rainbow shirt?
Can't go wrong, dude.
Roll one up. Let's get one to roll up. Gotta get Richie rolls on a rainbow shirt roll up. Oh, my man.
geez.
Steven, thank you, man. I appreciate you coming
It's
here,
been
my
an
dude.
absolute
Yeah.
pleasure.
I
Thanks
mean,
for having me.
uh,
I want to do some more studying on like kind of global markets and how we might see marijuana change. So I'm gonna just kind of keep learning about that and seeing where it takes us, and hopefully that leads to a lot of more fun conversations.
I agree. Definitely a round 2 is going to be had. You know what? With High in Arizona, what I'm trying to do is like almost like how sports shows will like build their sportscaster friends and their constituents. Like, people pop on the show and give their professional takes on things. Love to have your opinion on High in Arizona whenever something
Dude,
pops off out here, and just in cannabis in general.
Feel free to call me whenever.
Nice.
I'll weigh in on something.
My man.
It's fun, man.
It is. It's wild, and
it
it's
doesn't
unprecedented
end. Like, you
times,
can
right?
build a life around it.
Yep.
Like, there's endless ways of achieving this, and I'm so excited to see where it takes us.
Yeah. Well,
All right.
right there, Steven.
Good shit.
I took the mouse away, so now I'm gonna walk back around and end it like that. But hey, shout out to the sponsors of the podcast: Lunchbox,
Thanks,
True
everybody.
Med, Drip Oils, Neverlow Glass Gallery, True Infusion, Desert Valley Testing, and of course the guest, Steven
Can I
over
do
here.
some shout outs?
Yeah, do some shout outs. Do your thing.
Hell yeah. All right. TrueMed, Leafers, The Good, Nirvana, KindMed, Sunday Goods, Consume Cannabis, Saints down in Tucson, Botanica. We appreciate you guys helping bring everybody quality cannabis from around Arizona. And all of our production and cultivation partners. Thank you to the whole cultivation staff, everybody on the other side of things. We can't get this job done without you guys. So thanks. See you next time. Later.